Wednesday, May 27, 2026. Welcome back to the Global Defense War monthly panel. I am John Michael Chambers. Each monthly broadcast, we will cover from a military perspective just what is going on behind the scenes, dismantling the deceptions, and making sense of all the madness. All right, let's make some announcements here before we bring our panel on. I'm launching a new show, a monthly panel with experts and witnesses called Off-World with JMC. It's time. We will be covering the president's releases of Area 51 related information and a whole lot more. So stay tuned to that monthly panel. Some new folks I'll be bringing to the screen with us and some familiar faces as well. Off-World with JMC. Next image, please. A lot happening at JMC Broadcasting. Why? There's a lot happening in the world. We were among the very best in covering healthcare during the pandemic phase at American Media Periscope. During my time here at JMC Broadcasting, we have focused solely on military intelligence and economic reporting, lean and mean, with the type of broadcasting they're familiar with. We're going to now be bringing in a healthcare division. The show host and face of that will be the lady you see on the screen, Christy Lee. The Truth About Health premieres June as a weekly broadcast, as well as monthly panels to follow. Stay tuned. The guests will be all the doctors, scientists, film producers, all relating to healthcare. Stay tuned, launching in June. Also, our good friend Juan Savit and his Chief of Staff, retired Lieutenant Colonel Matt Meck, are hosting Fraud Fighter Summit. You've got to visit fraudfightersummit.us. You see it up on the screen. June 15th through 17th. If you're in America, you got the wherewithal to do it. Carve out some time and get over to Las Vegas. June 15th through 17th, meet Juan Savin. He's got an incredible panel of names you know and names you don't know that you'll now know. Very important summit. Fraud, every corner you turn is the F word. Bond fraud, government waste and corruption, election fraud, healthcare scams, and so forth. Show your country some love and show Juan Savin some love. I'm sure the place will be packed. All right, next, a quick announcement. Join us in our private Zoom room. Me and Juan, I'll be your host. Juan will be there for 1 solid hour live in a private Zoom room to answer your questions. Private Q&A. Join us by visiting jmcbroadcasting.com. Click on Premium Portal. See if this is an option for you. We do look forward to seeing you there. Of course, we have free subscription and all of our content is free. All right, let's take a look at, well, let me make this quick announcement. Well, we've got Jordan Clark on the screen. Hard to say, but the late Jordan Clark just passed on. Jordan, as we know, had heart issues and so forth and so on. I had the opportunity to be on screen with him a few months ago. We were interviewed on a panel on another broadcast, and Jordan and I got to meet at that point. We never connected up intimately here. Rest in peace, sir. Great patriot, great warrior, will be sorely missed. Juan Savin and I are meeting face to face for a sit down. We've had many of them before in the past in Thailand and in America. Juan texted me, and I'll just leave the location out of this for right now, but we will be meeting in Asia in the next 10 days for an all-day sit-down face-to-face, not on camera, but there'll be a treasure trove of information I'll be sharing with you shortly thereafter. And Juan and I may do one episode, Intel and Insights with Juan Savin, since I've got him here as well. But join us in the Patriot Q&A. All right, allow me to first set the stage before I bring on our esteemed military panel and intelligence panel. All right, let me begin. The Guardians of the Dawn. Why the digital soldiers were created for this exact moment. We find ourselves on the final stretch of the deepest and most complex information war in human history. For nearly a decade, Anons, patriots, and digital soldiers worldwide have been prepared for this exact phase. What appeared to outsiders as a loose collection of internet activists reveals itself today as a precisely trained global vanguard. Every decoded riddle, every hour of waiting, and every survived wave of censorship served only a single purpose: to forge a resilient infrastructure for the unstoppable finale. The foundation of this preparation was no accident, but a meticulous curriculum. Years of intensive study of the Q drops trained the ability to look behind the curtain of manipulated mainstream media and recognize patterns of unconventional warfare, irregular warfare. President Trump's coded posts on Truth Social served as a continuous compass, guiding the direction and calibrating the moral center. It was through the pioneering legal analysis and teachings of Derek Johnson that the picture became complete. Derek provided the legal understanding of the invisible mechanisms operating in the background, from Executive Orders 13818 and 13848 and Presidential Emergency Action Documents to the official Law of War Manual and its updates. Through this accumulated knowledge, Anons transformed from mere observers into experts of a hidden legal reality. This Great Awakening strictly had to begin with a small worldwide group. A fundamental truth cannot be poured over billions of people overnight without triggering a global mass panic and the total collapse of the societal psyche. It required pioneers, a small, psychologically resilient elite of truth seekers who were willing to digest the initial shocks, endure the ridicule of sleeping masses, and organize the information. This group acted as a catalyst, creating the mental foundation that is now reaching its absolute peak as the old system collapses before the world's very eyes. However, the true and most fundamental role of Anons and Patriots begins only when the Emergency Broadcast System, or the EAS, is activated and the uncensored truth reaches all of humanity. Pardon me. When screens worldwide display the crimes of the old elite, the reality of the military tribunals, and the end of the corrupt fiat monetary system, the majority of the population will plunge into a state of profound shock, disbelief, and disorientation. In this moment of collective awakening, you are the lighthouses. You will not be there to say, "We told you so," but to give people stability. Your mission will be to explain events calmly, ease fears, and act as emotional and intellectual anchors in your families, in your neighborhoods, and in your communities. You are the architects of this new era, humanly guiding the transition of the Saragasara and the quantum financial system. Holding the line on this absolute finish line feels so incredibly difficult because the darkness presses hardest just before the light breaks through. It is this phase of maximum psychological pressure where the old structures launch their last desperate distractions and psyops. Yet giving up now, so close to the goal, turning on your commander-in-chief in a time of war, would mean leaving the line at the final hour. Your unwavering courage is the alliance's invisible defensive line on the home front. Hold your ground, trust in the legal armor of God and the continuity of government protocols, and do stay in the light. And remember, to an extent, we are watching a movie. Before we bring our panel on, I'd like to introduce to the first time on the Global Defense War Military Panel, Brian Lynn and Mike Burns. Under One Flag is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization founded by military personnel and first responders dedicated to honoring and supporting those who protect our freedoms and keep you and me safe. With no paid positions, they ensure that every donor dollar directly impacts the lives of those we serve, maximizing our ability to express gratitude and provide meaningful support to our nation's heroes. I'm proud to say that JMC Broadcasting has set up a monthly automatic contribution to Under One Flag. Please welcome the founder and co-founder, Mike Burns and Brian Lynn, to the Global Defense War. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks so much for having us. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to share our story and our mission with your audience.
Well, thank you for being here. You and I, Mike, met on the other panel, Eyes on Gitmo. Nice to see you again. And nice to meet you, Brian. First time. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. I much appreciated. I couldn't make the last trip. I was out on a hunting excursion with some buddies, so sorry I missed that one, but I'm making it up now.
Well,
So
Priorities.
that hunting excursion is what this is all about, and we're going to start jumping into that. And I will begin first and foremost by thanking and saluting you, gentlemen. All right, so tell us, gentlemen, if you will, a bit about your background. When was Under One Flag founded, and what inspired you to form this not-for-profit?
Yeah, so Under One Flag, we actually launched on July 4th of last year. And so we're coming up on our first year anniversary. And what really motivated us is Brian and I being both combat veterans, multiple deployments overseas, many years active duty Army. We were involved with some other veteran nonprofits out there. And I would never bad talk another nonprofit. They're out there doing their best and they're helping our brothers and sisters. But we just felt that there were some things that we could probably tighten the shot group up on a little bit, and just kind of improve and focus a little bit more on what we felt the needs were, filling some of those voids. And part of that was also bringing in not just our active duty and veterans, but we also wanted to include our first responders because, especially during these days with everything we got going on, we really felt like we needed to bring our first responders into the fold as well.
Understood. Well, thank you. Share with us, if you will, a bit about in what ways does Under One Flag actually assist veterans and first responders? I'm aware of it from our last interview, but I want our audience to hear this. And what I love about what you do is it really, really comes right down to helping the individual in a lot of great ways. I mean, I find it a unique um, model, if you would want to call it that. But anyway, rather than me speak, please share with us how you assist veterans and first responders.
yes, sir. So our biggest goal is, just to get veterans, and not just veterans active duty. I mean, active duty go through plenty on the day to day grind as well. Our goal is just to get the guys and girls out, put them back in, around brothers and sisters, bring some incitement into their lives. Same thing with the first responders. I mean, a lot of us that are veterans get out, and then that's what we end up seeking after retirement. We'll go straight into doing something on the first responder aspect. So it just kind of brought that brother and sisterhood in with the veteran brother and sisterhood, and now we're just one big mix of just craziness. And I mean, you can't put a price tag on it. It's just a great time.
Yeah, and it's really about
Excellent.
just it's really about not just getting them out on an event, but it's showing some love, some appreciation, bringing them into the Under One Flag family. It's not just a one and done, come out and do a hunt or an event with us and then go home. We want to absorb you into the Under One Flag family and keep you involved, and hopefully through that, we have what we call our lead program. So once we get a somebody attending an event with us, we train them up and we tell them, hey, go out and find some other military first responders in your area and put an event together. And we're going to cover the cost of it. So get them out, get them engaged, get them back in the fold with others that have serious or have similar experiences. And it's really an opportunity to get together and just share stuff. You can't talk about this stuff with your family. You can't talk about it with your friends. Your experiences and what you've been through, what you're going through now, and what you live with. So giving them the opportunity to go someplace that's safe and someplace where they're surrounded by others that get it, is really just a game changer for them.
Yeah, so important. I can't thank you enough. And I can't thank retired Brigadier General Blaine Hull for making the introduction to you and your organization. And I'm happy to give any announcements and support to it and get the word out there. I'm sure it takes a lot of effort and sacrifice keeping things running over there. With all unpaid volunteers, are you in need of any assistance from people in addition to financial? To help with your mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always on the lookout for anybody who wants to get involved on different aspects. So And, again, we have our lead program where we train them up, we send them out, we get them involved, we get them on a new mission. But we're also always looking for anybody who can volunteer their time. There's plenty they can do. Let's say we do a hunt. There's people that can come out and can help with cooking, can help with setting up camp, tearing down camp. At times we might need some assistance, maybe with a guide or dressing out an animal or something along those lines. And of course, to make all this happen, we got to have the donor dollars and the sponsorship to make it happen. Again, we are 100% all volunteer, no paid positions, maximizing every penny to make sure that it goes towards our mission and helping our fellow brothers and sisters out there. But it still takes money to make that happen. So yeah, anybody that is interested, they can go to our website, www.underthenumber1flag.org, and just send us an email, send us a message. If you or somebody is interested in becoming a part of what we're doing, military, first responder, or wanting to volunteer time, you can put all the information in there and reach out to us, and we'll get a hold of you and get you involved.
Thank you, Mike. To my producer, I should have scripted this in. If you can pull up the website, I'll chat a bit while you're looking to do that. I would like to navigate through a couple of spots on the website. I think pictures are, well, every picture tells a story. So anyway, if you can pull up that website, if not, let it be known to me. In the meantime, is there anything in the news or new developments that you're presently doing at Under One Flag that you care to announce or share with us?
Right now, through our donors, I know we just finished up a trio at a place out in Texas that runs hunts, and they volunteered. And just on very minimal dollars, we were able to push 3 people through there. Through our lead program, our leads are working on some things right now, and I think we're gonna run a thing through Dias Air Force Base, which is close right here in Abilene. So I mean, lots of good things coming up, and anytime we have something coming up, we'll either hit Sandy up or you up, and let you know so that you guys can push it out for us as well. But one more thing that I just wanted to speak out on is a few minutes ago, you said, I can't imagine what it takes to make all of this run. So while we're talking, I would like to take a second to just say I know my wife, I always have strangers at the house, and she's seeing people come and go. And I know Mike here deals with the same thing, and our leads as well. And a couple of our leads, I'm sure their wives are probably like, "Where are you always going to? Where are you always going?" But we always have events going, and I just want to, give gratitude where it's due to the spouses that help keep this thing going as well.
Absolutely. Very important to acknowledge that support. We do have the website up there. Let's click around, Michael or Mike Burns. Perhaps you can direct us to some of the images of some of the events and things that you're hosting. There's the donation screen, folks, right there on the homepage. Find some love in your pocketbook and support those that have provided us the freedoms that we have. Yeah, take a look at the site, folks, to our audience. Mike, you might want to comment on these images, walk us through this a bit before we wrap up with a concluding question.
Yeah,
What are we
absolutely.
looking at?
So these are just a few of the events that we've been privileged to do to get some military and first responders out. We did some trophy ram hunts where we had a military, a firefighter, and a law enforcement come out independently, so that way we can kind of focus on them and just let them know that weekend was all about them, and they had the opportunity to come out and just do some trophy ram hunts at an amazing place out here called Clyde America Exotics, who donated those hunts to our individuals. And we have a lot more coming up. We got some stuff that's going to be happening in West Virginia early next fall. We got some more stuff happening here in Texas. We got every type of thing you could think of. If they're looking at doing a hunt, a fishing trip, whitewater rafting, rock climbing, whatever it is that they're into, we're going to do everything we can to make that happen for them and just get them out and engaged.
That camaraderie, I'm certain, must be enormously beneficial. And I think the work you're doing, it just, a lot of big organizations lose sight of the actual human interaction benefit. And that to me is glaring in the work you're doing under One Flag, and so important, as you gentlemen know better than I. As we conclude, anything you care to share with us, and also where can people go to make a financial contribution? folks, $5, $500, $5,000, a monthly contribution, whatever you can afford. This is a good place to put some money. If you won't go broke, put money in the right place, help those that help us. Mike, what's the best place for people to make donations to your 501c3, which I would assume, I'm not an accountant, will be maybe a tax deduction for those as well. But go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Every donation you'll receive a letter, a thank you letter from us, along with the tax deduction letter. But yeah, go to our website again. That's www.under1flag.org. You can make your donations, and $20 a month. It's not a lot. That's two coffees. So $20 a month, and it adds up. And it's really giving us the opportunity to continue our mission and reach as many as we can, as fast as we can. And our whole mission is, we just want to serve those who have served us. And again, just give them a little love, show them some appreciation, and bring them into the fold, bring them into the family, and just let them know that they have the support, they have the camaraderie, they have the family that's here for them. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Well, we thank you and Brian and your team and all those that are participating in your events. And folks, we had 14 million collective views last month from our 10 total shows that we broadcast and publish. If 100 people give $20 a month, you'll be making a big difference. So let's play Jerry Lewis telethon here and do the right thing for the right people. I want to salute and thank you, gentlemen, very much for your service and your continued service, as that oath, as you gentlemen know better than anyone, never sunsets. Thank you both very much. Under1flag.org. All right. Now I'd like to bring our panel on. Former Australian Army Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Bosi served 24 years in the Australian Army. He is the national leader of Australia One Party. Be sure to tune in to the popular Bosi Briefs every other Monday, where Ricardo and I sit down and get caught up on the last 2 weeks' worth of events every other Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Bosi. Also joining us is our popular podcaster and good friend, Michael Jaco. Michael Jaco, retired veteran Navy SEAL, dedicated a total of 35 years serving the U.S. government in high-risk environments. Thank you, Michael, for carving out time out of your schedule to be with us every month in our second year here now. Derek Johnson, just a quick announcement about Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson and I were the brainchilds of launching this broadcast back early last year, I believe. And this will be an episode Derek is not able to attend. Those that follow the episodes and Derek Johnson understand why. We express our deepest condolences to Derek Johnson and his family for the passing of his best friend and dear father. Rest in peace, Mr. Johnson. Derek will be back next month. Joining us also, of course, is a frequent guest, our good friend Brad Wozny. Brad had me on one of his broadcasts, which will be publishing later in June or July. I appreciated that opportunity and enjoyed our conversation. Brad Wozny is a Canadian military veteran and retired firefighter. Brad served as a Canadian infantry soldier and hell attack wildfire fighter. Thanks for being here again, Brad. And introducing, well, many of you know, of course, Dr. Lee Merritt, but this is the first time Dr. Lee Merritt is joining us on this panel, and you'll get to see Dr. Merritt on our healthcare coverage with Christy Lee as we begin to launch that. Dr. Lee Merritt served over 10 years as a physician and surgeon in the United States Navy. Her August release book, I believe it is, she'll mention it perhaps, is titled Escaping the Medical Matrix. That's our panel. Please visit jmcbroadcasting.com. Click on contributors on the upper left-hand corner, and you will see the faces of our contributors, their biographies, and links to connect up with them and follow their work beyond this broadcast. Having said all that, thank you to my panel for your patience in the digital green room. Welcome back. All righty. Good to see you all.
Thanks.
I want to make an announcement to our viewers around the world. Then we'll launch. Be careful who you follow. Chaos without clarity. Problems without solutions. These are disruptors and or enemies. Whittle down your sources for information is probably good advice. And then even then, do your own research, seek your own counsel. Trust your instincts. Here on the screen, you are looking at a panel of men and women with extensive military, medical, and intelligence backgrounds. So I urge you to listen very closely over the next 90 minutes or so as we begin to comb through some of the events that are unfolding right now in this global defense war. Things are heating up. The storm is here. And so here we are in the month of June, critical, well, approaching June in a matter of days. Critical month, July, critical month, pivotal moments on the battlefield that's going to swing the pendulum. And to our panel and viewers, I want to thank you all very much for being here. All right, data centers 101. Let's begin there. We start at the top of the panel with retired Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Bosi. What are data centers? What are their purpose? Who controls these? Is it the private sector? Is it government or the military? What is it? Why is it? The good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll begin again with our good friend Ricardo Bosi, sir.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me and your kind invitation, and welcome everybody else. Data centers, it's the center of everything. Rare earth metals, information, power, the ability to move before your adversary, the ability to know before your adversary. All military operations are predicated on intelligence, actionable intelligence. You get the information, and that then is brought together into a cohesive picture from which you can make decisions and act or not, depending on the circumstances. Excuse me. And so what we've got now in a global sense is the need for data is critical. Whoever has more data can make more information, who can then make more actionable intelligence and be ahead of everybody else. These are energy consuming behemoths. So you need a ton of energy, you need the rare earth metals, you need the energy generation, you need the infrastructure. That's why it is such a critical issue now. We're moving into the world of AI. We're moving into the world of levels of cyber connectivity beyond our comprehension. So the speed of the infantry soldier is no longer relevant. It's like walking along and then a knight rides past on his horse. And then if you jump forward in time, now you've got an armored vehicle rolling forward. Next, you've got an Abrams tank. And all of a sudden you've got jets, and all of a sudden you've got satellites and rockets. And that's literally the trajectory that we're going in terms of life on Earth in a military sense, particularly, but also in a general sense. And that's why data centers are so critical. And the elements that create those data centers, the rare earth minerals, the energy generation capacity. So that's just necessary for everybody just to live on this new world that is coming. Now, who owns it? Well, private enterprise is always the best way of getting speed of development. Military is lovely, but we can be a little bit ponderous in our processes, and for good reason. Military used to be the leading edge of technology over the centuries. That's now been surpassed by private enterprise. But DJT has been very careful because he understands whoever controls the data centers, whoever controls the AI will control the planet. And that's why he's buying a percentage to get somebody on the board of all of these companies to make sure there is a controlling mechanism, because we all understand, and therefore DJT does, that whoever controls the information, the data centers, the means of knowing will control the planet. And we are not going to allow unfettered access to it. It's a little like saying everybody can have a nuclear device. No, you can have you can have other arms, of course, for self-defense, but you can't have access to a nuclear device. Similarly, you can have a laptop to do your work, but to control that level of data and information at the speed of thought needs to be constrained, because we have just demonstrated as a people we are incapable of knowing right from wrong without somebody reminding us with a bit of a heavy hand. That's exactly why we are in this predicament. And I'll wrap up here, but very quickly, the prolonged brainwashing, desensitizing, demoralizing, poisoning of the population has reduced what was a vibrant, I guess, species into a bunch of docile, credulous imbeciles. Not entirely their fault. And so their job was to keep us down. Our job is to get back up, but have the wit, have the ethics, have the morality to understand that individually we might know what's right and wrong, but collectively we can be manipulated, and we need a guiding hand to make sure that occurs.
Thank you, sir. Quick follow-up, and then we'll take it to Michael Jaco. Same question to the panel. Follow-up is, there seems to be a fair amount of increasing chatter within the Patriot movement, we'll summarize it that way, with concerns about these data centers. Do you have any comments about that, or has that reached your airwaves at all?
Yeah, no, there are concerns. Absolutely, there should be concerns. And this is where the people have to step up, wake up, stop watching football on the weekend, and take an interest in what's going on in their country. Apropos of that exact point, I'm currently doing a series on an educative series for the Australians on what we need to know in order to create a constitution. And I've broken down 19 elements of national power: geography, natural resources, military capability, diplomacy, government, blah, all the rest of it. But the paramount, the absolute paramount, the main lever that determines the success or failure of a nation state or a species, whatever, or a family, are the people, its population, its morality, its distribution, its capability, its education. Now, everybody knows that you can take a first-class business idea, and if you've been in business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have a second-class team trying to run with a first-class business idea, you won't make $1. You can have a first-class team with a second-class business idea, you've got a chance of real success. So population of the people is the paramount lever of national power. And that's why the people, and the point I'm getting to is the people must understand exactly what is going on here, and they must have a hand in controlling this. We just can't throw our hands up and say, well, we'll leave it to giant tech corporations to run this on our behalf. That's why we're in this mess right now. This is something we have to understand. This is something we need to keep a very close eye on through our elected representatives. But even without that, because we can't trust the bastards, we know that they're crooks. So we need to keep a very close eye on what they're doing and understand we have a role in it. Again, the analogy of handing out nukes to everybody is apt, because the power that the data centers have will control the planet for the rest of the time. And we, the people, if we presume to be the source of law and sovereign individuals, we, the people, need to understand it and keep a close eye on it and make sure it is directed to the benefit of individuals, families, states, sovereign nations, and the planet as a whole.
Thank you, sir. Michael Jaco, data centers. How would you like? First off, welcome back, Mike. And how would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I totally agree. There's, it could be used for good, could be used for evil, just like everything else out there. The data centers are starting. There's a lot of big pushback happening on those because they're using a lot of water, a lot of electricity. I just had a gentleman on a show that said that those could be broken down into modules and put into each person's home. They would have free data, they would have free electricity, on and on and on. So there's definitely ways that we could overcome this and make this better. The data centers, the AI, that's the future. Just like the internet was the future, the internet's been used for good and for evil. Who controls the AI? We would like the United States to control that, but if we just go back a couple of years, would we let that group, would we like to have them control that data center? Mm-mm. So it is like Ricardo said, we have to be able to focus on it ourselves and make sure that that doesn't get out of control, and keep tabs on that. If you look at Terminator was basically a robot AI that came in. Humans overcame that by sending another Terminator back in time and going back in time. So, we can move around and overcome these things, but we have to know what's going on. And I believe that the data centers are going to be helpful in the long term. We just have to manage them, be creative with their the capabilities. And like I said, maybe find better solutions for this data that's going to be utilized by us well into the future.
Thank you, Michael. We're going to have to, all of us, keep our eyes on this and learn as we go. Brad, thank you for being here. Good to see you again. How would you like to weigh in on the data centers?
Well, and first of all, it's an honor to be here with this panel and Dr. Lee, to give the credit to that incredible woman for standing up from all you've been through, as well as these two fine men. And once again, a confirmation that I don't have the combat experience, nor my special operations with the few years I had in the infantry. So, I'm coming at this from the standpoint of I also have the build out of the corporate experiences, right? And, being 18 stories under the Pentagon, I was in the data centers underneath the Pentagon. And that was literally, if everybody can envision, back then in 2001, a few days after they fired the missile into the Pentagon, which 107 is the only one who's confirmed my report of that by myself being there shortly thereafter, they dropped the 3 World Trade Center towers, right? So we're looking right now, at this point in time, there was that film from X-Files when Fox Mulder was standing there and seeing the data centers. That was then. That was a quarter of a century ago. And technology's continued at a 3 to 6 months. It has doubled continuously. So right now, we 25 years from September 11, 2001, are about 600 years into the future from a technological time frame. And we know what they've been saying. Billy Carson has said with SpaceX sitting down in Colorado Springs, Space Mountain, down there as well 2 years ago, that everybody in the military industrial complex is a minimum of 300 years, minimum 300 years to 1,000 years ahead of us in technology. That was 2 years ago, April 2024, from Billy Carson, who owns a space company. So I want to give that for context for everybody from that standpoint, because where we're sitting here right now is you go back to the very first Jurassic Park movie. And in the first opening sequence, after they showed the beautiful island, you had the velociraptor who was in the cage, who was shaking the cage. And you're just hearing the Australian guy, and, Ricardo can do a much better accent than I can. He's like, oh yeah, she just wants to get out. Just watch out for her, fellas. And all of a sudden, somebody gets grabbed, torn apart. That velociraptor analogy I'm using right here are those data centers, right? Except the data centers have the utility for the benevolent. We're seeing flock the systems all across Canada, the United States, other parts. Europe is a surveillance state. So is Australia and the Commonwealth countries as well, right? So we have to be very much pushing back at all costs, because our future and our children's future, their lives depend on it, not 10 years from now, not next year. They depend on it right now, because Michael gave an apt example from the movie Terminator. Those data centers are Terminator. And even though we saw just now, we are in the calm before the storm, we are locked in, patriots are in control, et cetera, it is also up to us, which the White Hats and President Trump and the Military Q Alliance, which goes back over generations, which Major General Polly Valley has acknowledged publicly as much as 3 months ago online, that operation requires people to stand up. And so I hope that sits with your audience, John, and everybody here knows that they need to push back with their representatives or stand up like that guy in the Palisade fires living out of a trailer running for the mayor of Los Angeles, saying enough's enough, and he's standing up and he's taking a right to the deep state. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you, Brad. And I love your accent, the Australian mock-up there. I'm sure Ricardo got a chuckle out of that.
Well, that comes from a guy who did Foster's, right? Crocodile Dundee, mate. Yeah, just watch the water, mate. Watch the water. There you go. Anyway, and that's Bosi coming out of the water right there with Michael and a spec ops, special operations. Anyway, so over to you guys. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Well, you're a film script writer and perhaps also one of the actors on the docket. Anyway, I had a quick follow-up to, yes, at another setting, Brad, I'd like to talk with you on camera, on a broadcast of sorts, about your time 18 floors under the Pentagon when that missile did hit there. I'd love to break down what you can share with us. Thank you, sir. Dr. Lee Merritt, we're so happy to have you here. Welcome to our military panel. We're talking about data centers. How would you like to weigh in?
Well, yeah, thank you. I'm really honored to be here. And so I guess I'll be the designated old fart here, but I started college in 1969 and I was a math major. And one of the things we did was we had an assignment to go do computing to multiply two matrices together. And I'll never forget, we had to go to the place on college and we had to go and punch these punch cards. And then we had to put them in order so that it made kind of a logical stream of commands. Then we had to walk down to the old town and put them give it to the secretary there who ran them through the computer at some point. And a week later, we might be right, or we might have had a comma in the wrong place. And in my lifetime, we've gone from that to now I'm watching, like Chinese drones doing these very, very fancy, very complicated dancing dragons in the air. And I can't help but say, I mean, I get it that people are worried. I'm worried about my personal concern about the data centers, besides the water usage and all that, is really, I think we can solve those things. But we are electromagnetic beings. So at some point we have to get a handle, and we have to be honest about the impact on human health of these kind of big electromagnetic fields and what we're bringing to the world. But the other thing I keep telling people is, and I was always stationed with the Marine Corps, and I saw this little video the other day. And to back up, I studied Russian because I was a math major. So I've been following the Ukrainian-Russian conflict on the Russian channels and everything ever since it started. And you really see the drone warfare kicking off here. I'm not an expert in military matters. I'm just saying, as a civilian watching this, I can see the progress. And so then I see a video of these LCACs coming aboard. Maybe it was at Pendleton or something. They're showing these things coming on the beach. And I thought, I wonder what drone swarms would do to that. And then you hear this thing about how the person with the team with the most Python wins, it being, coding language. I think that we cannot afford not to take this on. I think that the idea of micro drones and all the stuff this brings us is so important for national security. I don't think we can get around it. But there is a human biologic cost here that we also have to address. And I guess that's what I would say.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, so data centers, we all have to keep our eyes and ears on this. We say oftentimes in our movement, nothing can stop what's coming in terms of our ultimate victories in this war, but nothing is going to stop AI and data centers and this information. But we have to be good stewards of this. And so we're all going to watch and learn. And thank you all for weighing in on that. This next topic is vastly different. I'm going to title this next question, Masks Gone Wild. Okay, how's that for, let's put up the image to our producer. We'll take a look at this image and you'll understand why I'm calling this Masks Gone Wild. Take a look at this. This is Fox News. I'm sure you've seen it. It's gone viral. I didn't even watch the episode. I caught the drive-by quick thing, and we're going to have the panel briefly comment on this. Next image. I think there's a second image further focusing on that. Now, tell me that's not a mask. All right. So back to the panel. Masks Gone Wild. How's that for getting the attention of the target audience, as Derek would say? It raises the question, and Lieutenant Colonel Bosi and I, we covered this on Bosi Briefs. But I'd like you to weigh in on it, and of course have the rest of the panel weigh in on what do you make of this overt move? And don't you find it, the question I have, and I'd like you to weigh in on, is we know the fake news is fake. We know that Fox News is in that camp. We know that by and large, these fake news organizations are working for the enemy. And as President Trump has said, they are the enemy of the people. And so let that be duly noted. Having said that, it begs the question, if Fox News would run something like that, who's in control of the mainstream media to an extent? But weigh in on Masks Gone Wild, target audience, that image. What say you, Lieutenant Colonel Bosi? We've got no audio sound. There we go.
Sorry, full disclosure, John, I should come clean. I'm actually a black lesbian, but the mask is excellent. Now, having said that, the storm is here. The storm is here. The storm is here. That's what's coming out of DJT from El Donaldo Trumpo. The storm is here. Newsflash: the storm's been here for some time, but now they're showing the people. Like the storm is literally, the storm is coming. The storm is coming. No. The storm was happening behind the scenes, but now it's actually being revealed, and that's what's happening. And to your question, who controls it? We've said it before, but I'll say it again. We said this years ago, just in terms of the media specifically. The media have to be the ones, the people that lied to you have to be the same ones that are now turning around saying the opposite story, because they won't listen to me or you or Dr. Merritt or anybody else, because who the hell are we? Well, I don't know you, but I've been watching this guy on the news for 30 years. I trust him, Walter Cronkite. So that whatever he says, well done. Walter Cronkite did more for the US to get the impression they lost the Vietnam War than any VC ambush ever did. But that's a separate story. But we're getting this in Oz. We are literally getting the same. I've got to watch my language. I might get salty shortly. The same media personalities that were bitch slapping anybody that went against the narrative are now reporting exactly the opposite. And you can see these shamed-faced individuals. But the mask issue is specifically is to show people the war is here. That's it. The storm is here. It's happening. And blind Freddy and his seeing eye dog will spot the problem.
Well said, and thank you, sir. Michael Jaco, masks gone wild. What say you?
Yeah, well, we saw Biden. That was definitely a mask gone wild when he was around. So I think they're still trying to, show us that. Now it's interesting because Ed Gowrine was the guy that beat Massey. Ed Gowrine and I worked at SEAL Team 6 at Red Squadron together, and then we have. Bob Harwood comes out. I worked with him at SEAL Team 6 as well. And we're in the same generation. And he comes out shortly after that with that mask on. And I'm like, what is going on here? What are you guys doing? Is SEAL Team 6 reunion here going on? What's up? So I think it's just more disclosure. They had fun with it. Somebody had fun with it. I had fun with it. I think it's a nothing burger. We're going to continue to see reveals like this. I look at President Trump and I think he's a great comedian because he's always joking around with a lot of different things. And these guys kind of joked around with that stuff too. So keep it light, keep it fun. We're winning. Let's keep winning.
Thank you. Masks gone wild, Brad. Is that Brad?
Yeah,
or are you wearing a mask?
No, there's another black lesbian under here. It's common for the Commonwealth countries to do the same thing. But my name is Abdul Rapstar Rapsam Johnny. And I talk a little like this. Rick knows.
We're having fun on this
panel. Energy. Yes. Rick, very good. Anyway, but I digress. Now, just very quickly, putting it out here, what's amazing in the conversation and the lexicon we have, Rick needs to take a bathroom break. I'll get him crack up. It's great. We can take the piss out of each other from tens of thousands of meters away from each other, right? That's another mini joke. But real quickly, to your point, John, what's amazing now is 2 years ago when the conversations about clones, and this has been not just 2 years, a little longer than that, of course, but when Clonaid was discovered and brought out onto the scene in our truther community, that's what I'm just going to classify it as. 2 years ago, Clonaid, Manitoba, where they're cloning humans, right? Justin Trudeau's foundation, which has the pedophile symbol on it, the Trudeau Foundation, which is also complicit in funding the research at University of British Columbia and Arbutus Foundation, the COVID-19 biological chemical weapon of mass destruction, which also happens to be a biological and technological and radiological too, as we all know, right? Well, now you have clones being talked about in the open with people. Clones, are they a clone? Are they an actor wearing a mask? This is what is really important for the awareness to be brought up. I had a very, I wouldn't say it was a briefing from a non-disclosure agreement perspective yesterday, but somebody who was extremely high up, goes back almost 30 years. People would know this man if it was brought out there. And he said, the military has said the important thing to do is first raise the awareness of the people. So we're talking about consciousness rising, and they would do it through TV, films, books, and media. And once you have the awareness of a people at a certain level, then you can bring about the full-on truth and then have the justice. That was a little over 24 hours ago. I had this briefing. And here we are, we're seeing that. So this is extremely important conversation and narrative for people to continue to discuss and continue with the levity, right? That Rick has given us in the beginning. Michael has awarded to us through his, I think also Bob Harwood was your CEO at SEAL Team 5. And if everybody looks at that, man, here's what's interesting too. You've got some of the creme de la creme from an American standpoint, right? SEALs. Yeah, everybody knows Delta, also know Barry Sadler, the Ballad of the Green Beret. But in the lexicon now, just over to especially the last 15 years, let's take a look at the last bunch of SEAL movies that came out. You had Active Valor documentary, which is on the silver screen, which was a fictionalized documentary of the SEAL teams. You had the Marcus Luttrell, right? We had Lone Survivor, and so many others. So I find it really fascinating, and I'm pulling out threads here right now, that we have a SEAL Team 6 member who Michael served with, who beat out Thomas Massey, a SEAL Team 6 veteran whom Michael served with as well, who is an officer, one of the greatest Navy SEALs ever. If you look at the history by what's found online about Mr. Bob Howard, as Vice Admiral, by the way, excuse me, Mr. Vice Admiral, he earned that title, SEAL Team 6. So SEALs coming out. And I think that's something that gives it a lot more gravitas than just having, Lenny Penny from down the street or Joe Bloggins, wearing a mask and showing up for 5 minutes, because we're still talking about it, 4 days later, and this will continue to move the needle forward for awareness so that the White House can have the full disclosure we need before the EBS rings in. Hope that makes sense, everybody.
It does. Thank you. Fascinating subject. And we're going to talk about the EBS a little bit later on. I'll take that question to Dr. Merritt. Masks gone wild. How would you like to contribute?
Well, I was just going to say, people always want to say, oh, that's just CGI, that's just AI, that's not real, blah, blah, blah. But, mainstream media, and especially with that level of a guest, they have a lag time. And so, if you have a heart attack on TV, that they don't show it. There's no way that would be accidentally put out there. That was my first reaction. Right. And it's nice because when Biden was doing this, and clearly he was wearing a mask, and clearly there were more than one Biden. I was sitting at a table with psychiatrists and neurologists one time, and they're all debating about how it can't be right because it's not neurologically consistent. For that, and for me as an orthopedic surgeon, I said, you can't fall down that much at that age if you're actually incontinent and all these things and not break something. But that's a little more nebulous. This was an obvious step forward saying, okay, we're letting you see now. And it's by a guy that you really, an Admiral, Navy SEAL, couldn't put on the mask correctly. I mean, come on now. So this is too obvious to be anything else, in my opinion. Has to be disclosure.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. I agree. That was my instant gut on it. And of course, just ramping it up for the target audience, like color by numbers. How much simpler can they make it?
Yeah.
Folks, to our audience, central casting. I think I ran a clip at one of the shows last month. Someone put together of the president, montage of him saying central casting. Look at him. He's central casting. Chairman G, tall Chinese man, central casting, central casting, central casting. What is central casting? Central casting is an American casting company that specializes in casting of extras, body doubles, and stand-ins. It was founded in Los Angeles in 1925 and has moved on to a couple of other states, being used clearly in this psychological operation information war we've been engaged in, being used by the military in this operation in a very significant and productive way is my commentary on that. Central casting, folks, there's a reason he says that. All right, let's move on. Where are we going here? Let's talk about, let's put this up, put the image back up. It's apropos right now. We're talking about masking, central casting. We oftentimes invoke films. To our producer, if you got that image of our movie, guys, we've mentioned, there it is, you're watching a movie. To an extent, we're watching a script. Okay? Siskel and Ebert there, of course, having some fun. Let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard. We'll go back to the top of the panel with retired Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Bosi. Tulsi out. She was a Democrat. She ran on that ticket, ends up in the Trump administration. From my seat's done a phenomenal job. I can stand to be corrected by this panel, but that's how I stand on it. My question is this. She's out now, or soon to be. Is she good or bad? Was she put in that position knowing certain aspects about Tulsi? How was she used? Why is she exiting the script? What do you see happening here? And will she release another tranche of incredible information to put more nails in the coffin of the deep state before she's officially out? Unpack Tulsi Gabbard any way you care to, sir. Ricardo Bosi.
Hardly a challenge. Okay, we're watching the movie. I'm glad you put the clip up. Now, Tulsi was cast in the show to be the outsider that was going to shake up the organization. Now, anybody who's spent a bit of time in a large amorphous mass like the military or intelligence or any big corporate, you know you can't change it. You don't change the leadership, you don't change the organization, because the organization lives unto its own rules. But she was cast to play the role of the outsider. Now, what she was cast. She's attractive. She's intelligent. She's a woman of real substance. I mean, there's the trifecta right there. So that's got everybody's attention just to watch the screen. I love the little shock of grey hair. Nothing hotter than that. Just brilliant. But she also had substance, which was just so cool. Nice. Everybody's rooting for Tulsi Gabbard. You've got the Democrats going, yes, one of ours is in on the inside. It was masterful casting. Absolutely brilliant. Now, she turned up and people thought, well, she's here to investigate and see what's going on. No, the intel work was done way, way, way before. The preparation was done. The organization had been infiltrated. They knew exactly what was going on. This is the obvious show to the target audience. Oh, this is what's going on. So she came in, she cleared the deck, she cleared multiple levels of leadership. She declassified a ton of information. She threw it all out there, but this was all planned well in advance. And so was her departure, because every character in a film has a role to play, and now they'll be pulled out. And, you know, boo-hoo, it's sad. One of my favorite characters is gone. What's going to happen next? You've got the audience's attention all over again. But to think she was this outsider that was going to change the world from the top down, that's what people think's happening. I thought that, you know, God, let me think, how long ago was it? 20-something years ago. As a I was in a lieutenant colonel, still in the army. I actually believed in things like good ideas win. How naive was I? Anyway, we came up very, very quickly. We came up with an idea in special ops with no authority to forecast technology and capability needs years into the future. It's the holy grail for futurists, and that's what we did on our own. No authority from the boss. We just did it. No increase in budget. We just did it. Showed it to the US, they loved it, wanted it. Showed it to the UK, they said, wow, we've got 1,000 people working on this for 5 years. Didn't even get close. So we knew we had a genuine world first in Oz in terms of capability development. Got shut down by the commander special ops. Man had a brain the size of a pea. No worries. I had a mate that was a parliamentarian. He was a senator. I rang him up and said, mate, I've got this idea. It'll change the way the entire Defence Force does business. We can compare apples to oranges and get the best return on investment for every dollar spent. And I showed him, and he said, come back in a couple of days. Within 2 days, I'm now sitting in front of the Minister for Defence in the Australian government. Now, that's like some light colonel out of, I don't know, pick a base in the US, sitting opposite Pete Hegseth with no authority. Now, you just don't do stuff like that. Oh, this is a career-ending move. Even if I save the planet, it's Bosi. You can't do that shit. Get out of here. So I went in, and I'm talking to our Minister of Defence, your SEC war equivalent, with no authority. And I thought this idea would be so compelling and so brilliant, it'd be grabbed. Well, naive Lieutenant Colonel left the office very excited because the minister loved the idea. And then all of a sudden, the oxygen got pulled out of the tent and nothing ever happened. I didn't even get a kick in the backside, which I should have gotten. I was expecting. Didn't even get that. Nothing was said. So I learned really quickly, good ideas don't win. It's got nothing to do with that. Just a naive light colonel, a long time ago. So to think that Tulsi Gabbard was going to come in and effect a change from the top without some prep fire, infiltration of the organization, identifying who's who in the zoo, who's got to go and who can stay, who we can trust, who we can't trust but can turn, who we can't trust and can't turn, so they're going to go. All of that work was done beforehand. She's turned up. She's done a bit. The target audience has now seen the disaster that is intelligence in the US, but she's played a role, done a brilliant job, and now she's off the set. And I'll finish on this. If anybody imagines that Donald Trump sits back and lets all his departmental secretaries just run their own war without a coordinating guidance from him, you're dreaming, as we say in Australia. You're dreaming. Now, that's the way it's been done previously, certainly in Australian politics, because departments are run by different elements of the cabal and they're in competition with each other. This idea of a whole of government approach is great in theory. Now, you've got it under DJT, but nobody's had that before. You've literally had these different feudal states, let's call them, competing with each other to benefit their funders. But we got to remember that DJT is got these people well under control. They know what their orders are. They're doing what they're told and how they're told to do it. So when Tulsi Gabbard says, and I'll finish here, Tulsi Gabbard says, no, Iran, no evidence of nuclear manufacture. And Trump says, well, she's wrong. I don't trust her. Not interested. Goes in and bombs the place anyway. People resign. Trump's a warmonger. All part of the show. She played a role. She played it brilliantly. And what happens after this, who knows? But she did a great job. But the target audience is now being shown the movie. But behind the scenes, what they have to understand is all this work was done beforehand. The infiltration, the turning of people, it's all been done. And this is now the public face of what was happened over the last, I don't know, maybe 12, 13, 15, 16 years.
Thank you very much. Quick follow-up question. Do you anticipate that Tulsi Gabbard will just kind of, take her desk plant and her papers and put them in a briefcase and shuffle on off into something else? Or will she drop some more files and information like she has done concerning Russiagate and other things? Can we expect anything of substance and value as she exits, or is this pretty much she's out of there?
I don't know. It could go either way. But one thing I'm reasonably sure about is that when she goes, she won't come back. And does her husband have cancer or not? I don't know. Could be part of the show, could be real. But it's an excellent way of killing the star or the star's role because they've got other things to worry about. But is she going to drop a bomb or two before she leaves? Oh, what a perfect opportunity to do so. But I don't know.
Thank you, sir. Michael Jaco, Tulsi Gabbard.
Central casting. We are in the role of Cruella de Vil, of course, with the gray streak, 101 Dalmatians. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, we're seeing a movie. So what are you going to show us here? And she never really showed us anything, I thought. Before she came in, I have a friend that was asking her questions, was around her and Joe Rogan. Both she and Joe Rogan thought they didn't see anything about 9/11 that was different. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay, she's controlled, right? She's done some NDAs or something. She's not going to talk about that. And Joe Rogan, what's your situation? So we could probably talk about some of the truthers out there that have been compromised. But anyway, what we're talking about is Tulsi Gabbard. So when I think it was about a month ago, it was around the time frame. I think it was George Webb was saying that she was already gone. She was fired a month before she left, or supposedly was going to left. And I was like, what? And that makes a lot of sense because, of course, she would go, when other people starting to exit. But I think they held her back for a better ending. So whatever this ending is that she's going to be going through remains to be seen. Are there going to be files released? You mean like the 40 boxes of files of information on JFK and Martin Luther King that basically left her office floor mysteriously by the CIA just came and picked them up? Weren't those locked away? Isn't it like I've been, high security stuff in the past, top secret stuff, manager of that. It doesn't just walk away. Somebody just doesn't come in and take it away. That's ridiculous. So there's more going on here. Who knows, the bigger picture. I think, maybe it won't even be revealed. Now, we're talking about what is she going to do afterwards? I've heard people say that she basically brokered a deal to resign instead of being going to jail because she's done some other things. I think we might find out. But she resigned. She agreed to resign because she wants to run for office. She wants to run for president. I don't if the information that I've been hearing actually comes out, she won't be running for dog catcher. But we'll see. A dog catcher like 101 Dalmatians. So I don't think we're going to see anything from Tulsa. It's if anything comes out before she leaves, it's because it was planned, and they're just going to use her as a way to drop more information.
Interesting intel and perspective. Thank you, Michael. We'll see how that plays out, but mostly I think we'll be entertained and pointed in many other directions as this battle continues to restore our constitutional republic. And soon people will say, Tulsi who? But we'll see what happens, Michael. Interesting perspectives. Thank you very much. Brad Wozny, how would you like to weigh in on this?
Just very simply from, the strategic theater perspective here. And once again, everybody, you have the Commander-in-Chief Pro Tem of Australia and New Zealand, who's sharing with you incredible background, as well as Michael. You're taking it from the top experts in the world, as far as I'm concerned here. And then obviously Dr. Lee Merritt right after this. What you can just take a look at the signals which continue to come out, or a shuffling of the deck of the actors in the game, so to speak, or the Broadway play, however you want to frame it. Well, you have Bondi resign. Where's Bondi? Okay, well, doesn't she meet the three criteria that Rick just mentioned, right? You've got somebody who's got some wherewithal, got that blonde, you've got that divine feminine type lioness up there, and then all this stuff doesn't happen, but Bonnie just all of a sudden resigns. But we all know her background, where she was. I mean, gosh, Michael was living in Florida when she came out with the red flag laws. Hang on a second. You're going to go send the sheriffs after Michael because he's a retired special operations guy who used remote viewing to find Osama bin Laden, has his whole squadron to go in it, and he just happens to be carrying a gun legally, and you're going to go after him? And all that stuff she did with the Bush family. And that, I think, is also going to come back out, because the last thing you do when you end a Broadway show and the curtain comes down and everybody takes a bow, you're not going to turn around and go, oh, wait a second, here's part two, and here's the new character, the new role, and the same person who's playing them. They're gone. And by the way, just take a look at the AG position to continue on that. Blanche is in the position. Where did Blanche come from? Central casting. Who threw their hat in the ring just a few business days ago for the AG position? Who is President Trump's best friend since 15 years old at military school? Who is the man who is leading the case for Tina Peters, for James Bowder, Canadian Freedom Convoy, and for so many others, and who was just hired by Joby Weeks, Peter Tickton? So we are stacking the deck, I think, from the public standpoint, even though we're very much aware that it's already been done behind the scenes, to show the public that eventually you have certain things that go back to the Bondi, that go back to the Tulsis of the world, and et cetera, and on and on and on through every branch, whether it's judicial, executive, legislative, and go, well, but they didn't do this, they're responsible for that, and now we can do this. A month from now, a year from now, or 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. That's where I take it from, John.
Fascinating subject. We can see from listening to our panel thus far on Tulsi Gabbard that you got to just turn off the fake news. You're not hearing these perspectives, views, and narratives anywhere in that space. Again, we try and make sense of the madness and decipher the deceptions. Dr. Merritt, do you care to weigh in on Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, cancer is an extremely useful little tool here politically. I mean, it seems like a lot of people, Susie Wiles, I guess, now has cancer of the breast or something. There's multiple people in the Trump administration that have either gotten cancer or family cancer. It's a good way to move people around, in and out. I just think that, and they can't really, hard to criticize because, they tried to criticize Trump as being believe it or not, pro-cancer, because he was defunding some of this nonsense cancer research. And so it's kind of hard for anybody on the outside now to not be sympathetic here. I just think it's a way to move people. I noticed in COVID, all these little hospitals, the CEO stepped down just before the vaccine mandate, and then they put a hatchet man in there. And then the hatchet man went away just after that, before any retribution came out of the vaccines. And it's interesting that I've talked to multiple nurses, and they all told me that their CEO did that came and went, and they all went for the same reason. Oh, they were having an affair with a nurse. I said, how many CEOs have affairs? But that was the story that drove the movement. And I think this is all a story. I don't know what the whole reason is for. I wonder who the number two is. It seems like a good way to avoid having a lot of people tied up in Senate hearings and things for getting, if you have a lot of temps, you can get a lot of stuff done under the temps without having to go through all the hearings to get people actually appointed. So maybe that's it too. I don't know.
Fascinating subject. All right. Thank you to the panel. We're going to go back to the top with a new question. I'm going to read a little bit so I'm not mistakenly reporting this. President Trump shocks the world. We have the medicine that brings people back from the dead. We have tested it. And U.S. President Donald Trump has made a shocking statement which could change a lot of things if everything goes well and is widely used. Now, you talk about entering a whole new set of attention gathering in the script. Boy, is this going to do it. Trump has declared that the U.S. is very close to discovering a drug that stops people from dying. In a press conference from the Oval Office, he said that the drug is in the testing phase and has yielded the first concrete results. Quote, "We know this medicine works because we've taken people who had died. We had a person who had their last rites done. They passed away. The kids were crying, etc. And we gave them this medicine. And the person got better," the president says. "It works. It won't work for some others, but we learned quickly." End quote, President Donald J. Trump. Boy, Academy Award to the script writers. I don't know what's going on here. Ricardo Bosi, Lieutenant Bosi, how would you like to weigh in on this? I've got a comment. I'll wait till I hear from everybody first. Go ahead.
I'd love to hand this over to Dr. Lee first, but I'll just kick this one across to you. The first thing that gets to me is it's a con that there's things out there that we have no idea about. Brad gave us a very good rundown on the capabilities of modalities, technologies that are science fiction to us, but they've been around for a long time. That's point number one. So there's new stuff out there, which is true. And we know about the capacity of regrowing limbs in salamanders, for example, and then microelectricity to the limbs or stumps of creatures without that natural ability. If you get the voltage right, you can get they've grown. This is just in the labs. This is nothing new. Legs on toads, and Michael Jaco himself has described, growing limbs on dogs. And so the fact that POTUS is saying it is giving it new impetus. There's stuff out there. Now, why is that coming out? Hope, because we're about to send the people into a global psychotic shock. We're all going to die. I know of people whose children in their 20s, let's say now, are having dramas with their parents because they're basically saying, "Thanks, mum and dad. You consigned me to a death sentence because of myocarditis, pericarditis." And there's some real pain out there. This is potentially just POTUS's way of saying there is hope. This is the one thing that all of us know in any in extremis situation. No matter how hopeless it is, as long as you have hope, you can make the next day. And anybody that's lived more than a few years on the planet has been in that situation where sometimes you even hope that hope comes back. And so I'll just leave it there in terms of why it's coming out now and what role it might play.
I think that's a great analysis. Faith, hope, and love. Hope. You nailed it. Thank you, sir. Michael, interesting topic.
Yeah, I love the topic because, it's near and dear to me. It's, the machines that are going to bring people back to life. President Trump had these machines, and on a post he had one time, it's like, "Yep, you're going to be seeing these soon." And then he took it off, and he says, "I was just joking," but he's teasing these things out there. We know that for the most part, the healthcare system is the unhealthcare system. During COVID, we saw where a lot of people were murdered in hospitals on a massive scale. 72 hours on a ventilator is basically a death sentence. And then remdesivir included in that is there's no way people return from that. I'm going to have a nurse on here pretty soon that's going to talk about how she had hundreds of people that went through that system, and they have managed care that comes down from the top, like Dr. Merritt, Merritt was talking about. We're basically going to see these people, held accountable, I think, at some point. But the death and destruction that happened out there is indescribable. I think we're going to see many of these people, start to talk and give up this information. A lot of us have been talking about this for a long time. So President Trump is going to bring out these technologies that have been hidden from us on purpose, so that these unwellness, companies can make profit off that. And so that's going to get turned around. A lot of us are going to start to see wellness on a level. A lot of us are already seeing wellness on a level that we've never imagined. It's already starting to leak out. So I think that medbed technology type level stuff is here. It just needs to have a little bit of leak. The leaks are happening. The dam is about ready to burst, and I know a lot of people are ready for it. But it's insane, how many people have been under this unhealth care system and have died. Are they coming out with another one? Were people held accountable for the last one? It remains to be seen. But if you don't take criminals that cause death and destruction and hold them accountable, they're going to come back with another program. So we have to be aware of that. We've seen hantavirus. We've seen the latest problems that are happening in Africa. I think that a lot of this stuff is going to be exposed, and it's not going to happen. But we have to be out there talking about it, getting this information out there. Otherwise, we're gonna see it. All these 1% that died from COVID. That's nothing compared to what they are planning. The next one's going to be like a 32%er. But I think we're going to stop it out. But you're going to keep pushing it. They're already starting to push it, and we're going to have to be aware that there are technologies out there that easily can prevent any of that from happening, and we need to get those out there as soon as possible.
Very, very important. Thank you. Brad, you want to take this on? President Trump's statements about, bringing the dead back, basically.
Well, I mean, what better way to bring back Elvis, Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, and JFK Jr. than, we have this. Oh, and by the way, everybody else gets a turn. So all of you benevolent, come on in. We can read your aura, your soul signature, your cardiac ID. We know you're good. We know you're malevolent. We know versus benevolent rather, excuse me. And going on 16 hours here, baby. Tongue-tied with the caffeine and the water. And by the way, there are technologies now too, right? So you can tune in with Dr. Lee Merritt. She's done an incredible job. Michael and I do multiple shows. There are technologies, wellness technologies now that with stuff we can't even say yet, but we have those testimonials on record of people who were in hospice that were told you're going to die tomorrow or next week. And they took something and it's 100% natural. And not just one, not 10, 20 people are released from hospice and they're at home and they're healthy. And this has happened in these last few months, right? So this stuff is here now. President Trump is going to be the arbiter of truth and saving the world by bringing this forward. All of this is ready to be released en masse, light beds, med bed technology as well. And again, I just go right back. Can't wait to see Pastor Bob Joyce go, hey, that's it, baby. I'm done preaching. Let me get up here and shake it on America 250. I yield my time to Dr. Lee Merritt now. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Dr. Merritt, how would you like to weigh in on this topic?
Well,
serious topic, but very interesting.
Well, and I haven't had too many surprises during this whole COVID thing, because if you'd really been understanding the medical literature, you knew that a lot of this was a scam, and a lot of the stuff they're telling us is just not true. But this one, I gotta say, if they have something that actually you're dead, and they give you something to bring you back, that's something I never even got a whisper of. So that's kind of unusual, because normally things are in the medical literature in some form. Having said that, though, the Russians have a lot of stuff that they know about DNA, and quite frankly, Yuval Noah Harari, these guys from the WEF that think we are nothing more than just our atoms collected together. They want you to believe that DNA is a ticker tape, that we can just change it and we can put a little C here and a G here and it'll make you all different, or, one way or another. That's just not the way DNA works. And the Russians actually, they don't translate this, unfortunately, but they've studied this with physics, with linguists. They've studied DNA in all sorts of ways. And what they've shown is, first of all, DNA can heal. It's not irreversible. DNA somehow has our holographic imprint of us. So even though I might make a protein that's exactly the same as a tortoise, it's coded slightly differently with syntax and spelling. And it knows that I'm me and that's a tortoise, and it makes it for me, not the tortoise. It somehow knows this. The other thing the Russians found is that, and when you have DNA, so when someone dies, well, let me back up. When they were lasering DNA one day, and they zorched this DNA, thought it was all gone, but they could still find the electromagnetic signature of it after they thought it was all just burnt to toast. So then they said, well, maybe there's still some in there. And they moved that vial out of the way, and they put a completely blank vial, blank glass tube in where that DNA had been, but now it's just empty. It's never been used. They found the same electromagnetic signature of the DNA. And it lasted for 40 days. And the DNA signature kept getting weaker and weaker, and then at 40 days it was gone. And in Russian Orthodox religion, by the way, they believe that the soul lingers for 40 days where the person dies. A lot of 40-day things show up in biblical references. I'm not a biblical scholar, but that's pretty obvious. So this has to relate to DNA somehow. And that's the story of the med beds. It's a DNA healer. And the medicine might be something like monatomic gold, this special silver. One of the things about Venezuela, all this stuff that's going on with silver lately, silver is one of the only metals, I think, that has two stable isotopes. And one of them is apparently what you take prior to getting in one of these DNA medbed things, and it helps you rejuvenate your DNA. That's about the level of my knowledge about this. So it'll be interesting to wait and see. But I'm going to just make this one cautionary tale. They tell you things in movies and TV these days for whatever reason. Call it the revelation of the method. Call it they don't want to have bad karma, so they put this out. So I'm actually going back and watching old TV shows. And one of the ones I'm watching is Stargate. Very, very interesting. They're telling us things that now have happened. But it's about meeting these alien races and doing all these different things. But what happens in this one show is that they meet a race that seems very benign and benevolent and very advanced, and they could swap technologies. And this race has a technology for stopping your aging. You take an injection, you take a vaccine, it stops your aging. So everybody on Earth, we give them some things, they give us this, we get this advanced medicine, everybody lines up to get this vaccine. And then a few years later, it's discovered that 90% of the world is sterile. It was a weapon of war that came in as a weapon of good things. As much as I trust that Donald J. Trump is on the right side of the war that we're in, not all of his medical advisors are, as we have seen. And I'm not taking anything that's an injection from anybody. When people tell me, well, what about a shingle shot after all this COVID nonsense? I said, ma'am, I don't even want to buy toothpaste from these psychopaths. Do not get any injectables if you can avoid it. Because for some reason, in the whole history, for the last 300 years since Edward Jenner, they've wanted to get something under our skin. They can't seem to damage us enough from the air, the water, and the food. They have to put something in an injectable under us. And I would just be cautious to say, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be too good to be true. And he may not be aware of all the ins and outs. That's about what I have to say. More to follow, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
you can't even wipe your ass these days without worrying about getting cancer because they have endocrine disruptors on freaking toilet paper. Johnson & Johnson, 2 class action lawsuits for your audience, John Michael, who 2 class action lawsuits that they've settled, but on it was because they're putting asbestos in the baby powder, right? You've got cancers in all of the sunscreens, or at least almost everyone out there that's not truly natural, then I don't know what is truly natural by their definition these days. So 100% what Dr. Lee Merritt was saying, I mean, again, keep that in mind. You can't wipe your ass without getting cancer. So, wipe carefully as far as I'm concerned.
Could I add something to that,
Understood.
what he just said?
Absolutely.
Do I have
Sure.
Well, I just wanted to say that don't be surprised by any of this when you realize that medicine, as a medical doctor from the inside of the deep medical matrix, I'm just going to tell you, we didn't come from a history of healing. The ancient history of medicine is a history of poisoners. When we take the Hippocratic Oath, we literally take an oath to Apollo the physician, but Apollo's only claim to fame is bringing plagues and poisoned arrows. If you read the Iliad and the Odyssey, that's how he shows up. So I was really, when I wrote my book recently, I literally, I asked for forgiveness, and I said, I can't believe I took that oath. But we literally take an oath to Apollo, and to Hygeia, Panacea, Asclepius, and all the pagan gods and goddesses as my witness. That's the first line of the Hippocratic Oath. And Hippocrates' great grandfather or uncle was actually a famous poisoner. So our history is not what people think. It would be like Mike Jaco finding out that the Navy SEALs, oh, actually, by the way, you've been working for, some enemy state all this time, subverting America. I mean, it's really like, are you kidding me? This is my profession. This is how we got here. But that's why when people think we went bad during COVID, unfortunately, I'm here to tell you, it's been this pagan death cult we've been in for a very long time. But now the good news is we're getting out of it. We're going to get out of it. It's going to be a whole new world. So
incredible. And
thanks for sorry. Dr. Artis said bamboo toilet paper. I got bamboo toilet paper. So Brad, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go chop some down tomorrow, Michael. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Brian Artis, Dr. Brian Artis, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Carrie Marday, Dr. Christiane Northrup, a gentleman named Dr. Joseph Peck, and many other medical doctors are all going to be joining us. Christy Lee, The Truth About Health, not live, but a weekly broadcast. Dr. Merritt, what's the title of your book? Is it out yet? If not, when will it be out?
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's going to come out in August. It's Escaping the Medical Matrix. So I show you how it was built,
Excellent.
How the false science was built, and how we get out of it.
We very much look forward to you being on the health panel and as a guest on the weekly show. Thank you very much. Incredible stuff. All right. It's a kind of an interesting dovetail. President Trump's talking about life-saving and bringing back to life. We're all going to learn more about this, I'm sure, as time goes by. And it dovetails nicely into Tesla's suppressed patents that we now have. At the same time, the president's releasing in stages information concerning ETs, aliens, off-world issues. And at the same time, they're bringing in these ideas about saving lives. It's very interesting to connect a few dots on that. But let me put up to my producer some images that I'd really like this panel to weigh in on. Take a look at this. Now, for a moment, these images are screenshots, just so you know, of video footage, okay, where the president and the military and let's look at some other images. We see the aliens or ETs, whatever they prefer to be called. We see this one, and the president went on in this particular video clip to bring our attention to the chains that are engulfing this alien. Next image. Okay, well, kind of tall guys, aren't they? Next image. This one, yes. So here's the first one I saw. This was a video clip, seemingly a military base. Look beyond the president's head. You've got, I don't know, Secret Service. You've got a soldier. You got the president, and you've got an ET. Very fascinating, very interesting. Now, of course, the chatter out there covers the gamut from Trump's lost his mind to this is clearly not real. This is AI or digital enhancements and so forth. So, President said, I'm reading a Truth Social post from the president. As for my promise to you, the Department of War has released the first tranche of UFO UAP files to the public for their review and study. In an effort for complete and maximum transparency, it was my honor to direct my administration to identify and provide government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, that's the UAP, and unidentified flying objects. Whereas previous administrations, the president goes on to say, they have failed to be transparent on this subject. With these new documents and videos, the people can decide for themselves, in caps and in quotes, what the hell is going on? Have fun and enjoy. war.gov/UFO, President Donald J. Trump. All right, let's go to the top of the panel. Ricardo Bosi, sir. You can unpack this every which way to Sunday. The airwaves are yours, sir. Bring it on.
Yeah, as we said earlier, John, and I'll leave some for the others, but the short version is this. You got an image, whether it's real or not, it's not the point. It's coming from POTUS. And I wish people would start to wake up and realize he's not being a fool. He's not an imbecile. He's not under control of anybody. This is a comm. And the comm to me, with the manacled one, for example, is we're aware of the ET issues. We've got it under control. Now, did they actually put manacles on this dude? No. But it's the story that, and to repeat myself from a previous show, Wernher von Braun's secretary famously said that she was told by Wernher von Braun, the last thing they're going to roll out is the fake alien invasion. And so what Trump's saying is, we got it under control. The ET story, watch this space. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's just that the shock of the new, get it out of the way with a bit of a smile, and then the truth is digested more easily by the people.
Thank you, sir. Michael Jaco, we're touching a subject that you talked about a few months ago that is among the very top of the hot subjects they don't want explored very much. It seems to be an unstoppable trajectory we've just begun. What's your view of the content on Trump and the aliens?
Yeah, President Trump started a Space Force, but we've had a secret Space Force for quite some time, and a lot of people have been involved in that. We have extremely advanced, 600 years advanced, more advanced than what we see right now. When I was in the military, probably all of us could talk, especially Ricardo. We can talk about 56 years advanced information technology that we were exposed to.
One moment, Michael. Michael, one moment, sir. Pardon me. I don't. Does everyone hear the disruption, or is it just on my end?
No, it's there.
Okay, we got a Wi-Fi issue. Maybe to our producer, go to a one screen or a two screen. I don't know, but Michael, please repeat yourself.
Okay, so we have advanced technologies that are already out there. We have a secret space program that's been active for quite some time, decades and decades. President Trump started the Space Force. That was like a lead-in to what we're going to start to get, I believe, in the future. It's already here. A lot of us have been involved with it. A lot of us have been talking about it for quite some time. It's not a leak anymore. It's like pretty much known that we have these technologies that are 600 years more advanced than what we have right now. When I was in the SEAL teams, 50, 60 years more advanced. I'm seeing the technologies that I was working with that have been revealed at this point to the regular civilian community. When I was in the CIA, there's still some technologies because they're probably about 100 years more advanced in their technologies that still have to be revealed. I think these are going to start to be revealed a lot sooner than has been normal. And that's, there's a lot of companies out there that are controlling a lot of this technology. They were given lots of money to develop these technologies or take the alien technologies that we have, from crash sites and so forth, and, advance them to different levels. Very, very compartmentalized. Once you take away the compartmentalization, then those scientists and so forth start to talk to each other. You're going to see a rapid advancement beyond belief. So we're right on the cusp of this, and President Trump, incredibly, is revealing like that. The different things that we're going to try and do to stop us out, or being Operation Blue Beam. That's not going to happen. There's no way it can happen. So he's doing the reveals, slow drip, moving into garden hose, soon to be a fire hose. And you have to give people a little bit of a chance to digest some of this, take it in, but it's going to continue to come. I mean, all of us at this point, I think all of humanity that's still around can handle information at a very, very fast pace now, because it's been revealed on an unbelievable level. So I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of stuff that Brad and I have been revealing in our show. So, and I'm just doing the tip of the iceberg of what I can reveal at this point.
Yeah, it's fascinating. 100, 300, 600 years advanced technologies that you and others perhaps have been aware of, and you're starting to see that trip out right now. So would it be a fair statement to say that I keep invoking Tesla because we know about his work that's coming through now, but off-world activity, one would assume, I assume there's like on human beings, there's some of us are good people and some of us are bad people. That might be going on in off-world as well. My question is, would it be a fair statement to say with these advanced technologies that you've been aware of, that anti-gravity, zero-point energy, all kinds of things will be coming our way as a result of off-world information coming through the president to us? Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. And that's basic technology, really.
Okay. Well, great. We've had other guests on. I don't want to misquote somebody. I'm not sure if it was retired Lieutenant Colonel Chuck Sellers or retired Lieutenant Colonel Tom Lennox, but one of our guests previously, I think it was Tom Lennox, spoke about portals that the president and perhaps some of his family have gone through to the other side, the galactic universe of sorts, gaining, whatever they're doing there. So I've got one smoking gun question I'm going to ask of the panel on this subject as a follow-up. But before I get there, let's take the initial question to the panel now. Brad Wozny, what's your take on the UFO alien matters, particularly looking at the images I had up with the president?
There's a multi-pronged approach in everything that President Trump does. And what's really key here, it's already been said, from Michael's standpoint, and he's the only super soldier I'm aware of who's on the panel, who's been in the secret space program as a super soldier, right? So he has an incredible aspect of experience to bring forth here to that and give it veracity. But what you have here too is when Trump is out with the Golden Dome, which he just brought back again today into the national conversation, the Golden Dome. When he came out with the Golden Dome, what is that all about? Well, he hasn't said, nor has the Department of War stated the reason for a Golden Dome beyond protection. And, Gene Decode and I had a show, it was already scheduled to go right after that. And Gene had said, that is a sentient celestial being that was divined by the prime creator millions of years ago for the time as this, for humanity's consciousness as a protectorate of what's to come around the globe, synchronized with our harmony of our DNA, mankind, as well to uplift everybody. Okay, we're going into a conversation here of which our Sound of Unlimited Love, which I say is our soul and the creator's download gave us to me to share with everybody. Again, everybody has to start from the standpoint that we are a spirit having a physical existence. Well, where does this all come back into the UFO disclosure and everything? 0-point energy, plasma, free energy technology, Tesla's patents, the patents over 6,000, perhaps it was 9,000 if the figure is correct, that I have from Trump's first administration as 45, that he literally said, release the patents, the ones that were classified but now are declassified, and those companies have actually been working to bring about for this time. Remember, he said, freedom cities, we're going to have flying cars. Well, you see all of these inklings coming out of it, and of course they're eVTOLs, but then you're going to have these free energy devices that are the size of a small packet of cigarettes that go into your home, go onto your cars, and are converters from diesel, gas, petrol, all of a sudden you're running on a free energy device that never needs a recharge, and you're using it off the air, you're using it out of water, and even so much more. Then you have the interdimensionality and the portal technology. Before we get there, people have to be not be in fear because they're too easily controlled. So, hey, we have a Golden Dome to protect you. B, hey, we have directed energy weapons, and these directed energy weapons and these drones are protecting America. And if you hurt any American, then we will kill you. That's directly from President Trump. So now they know they're protected. Now they have advanced weaponry so that if you have this alien agenda, which Werner von Braun had stated on his deathbed, as Ricardo had just mentioned here moments ago to everybody, and has been articulated by many whistleblowers, truthers from the last several decades. Some of them have paid the ultimate sacrifice for bringing that to the forefront. Well, you've just front run the Project Bluebeam alien invasion, the deep state. Maybe they're hiding in their bunkers in the subtropolis all across the world, and they've sealed off and they can't get out, but they've got this little bit of technology still up in the sky and in the ether. And Trump's like, no big deal. It's a nothing burger. We've got it. We've got your back. We'll protect America, and we will protect all of our partners, even those that signed on to the Board of Peace. This is an incredible time for everybody, John Michael, for your entire audience to be aware of that what happens right after this is a cascading effect of all of these technologies, which will just in the next few years usurp anything that we've been using. You'll look at 2026 as a time when you are literally in the Stone Age. By the time it's a real good 2030 and 2035, everybody's traveling off planet. And oh, by the way, I'll leave it with this. Just moments ago, as we saw a few hours ago before this show, Elon Musk is saying, we are going to build the star bases on the moon with NASA. Well, that is the White Hats using Elon Musk 2.0 or 3.0 to repurpose what was run as the Deep State Space Agency and not a space agency, right? Which was a slush fund for all of their deep state operations as well, like USAID. And now, guess what? It's all under White Hat control, and everybody is excited to go to the moon, go to Mars, and go to other places and join Juan O'Savin up on his space station when we're all set to go, because I think that's where we need to party next. I'm still waiting for my pardon from President Trump to get back there for America 250.
Well, we push all the power in the universe to getting that done to bring you back to the States. Thank you. Incredible information, Brad. And it brings a whole new meaning to what President Trump banged very loudly on the drums. And that is the best is yet to come. Man, you can see that as you listen to this episode. A little uncertain time, I understand, for all of us. A lot of concerns about, and justifiably so, about a lot of issues. But you can see hope, and a lot more than hope, in this episode thus far. The best is yet to come. So, Dr. Merritt, would you care to weigh in on this interesting topic?
Very interesting. Well, yeah, thank you. The pictures of those aliens are just super cool. I really hope that's all true. And I'm really excited about the technology. And by the way, the reason we don't have 0-point energy now, again, is because they threw a false scientist. Who knew you could have false mathematicians? But if you know the history, they threw a false scientist in around the turn of the 1900s, Heaviside. He was a mathematician. And that's how we ended up with Einstein and not 0-point energy. I'll just make that point. One of the things I do in my book is look at fake scientists. But I'm just going to throw a little wrench in here. We're talking about aliens kind of out there, kind of different than us. What if, and I honestly don't think that we get out of this without absolute proof of this, because I think it's true, that we have a problem within our own bloodlines of alien life. You know, they just came out, even the mainstream medicine has come out and said some creepy things like, oh yeah, O blood type is the oldest one on Earth. Really? Okay, then where did A and AB come from? How can you make that statement, right? And you have, notice all these shows that say, even Westworld, although they're talking about robots, they live, we see these, the story is repeated in movies and TV shows that there are people that look like us, talk like us, and walk like us, but they aren't us. And I'm just going to make the point that I don't think human beings would set out to poison the whole world one way or another. I don't think we would do that. So I think that we also have to be cognizant of the fact that we may be dealing with ancient bloodlines that are not human. They're hybridized into us now. I actually think I probably have some of that because it comes, some of this, I think, when you trace the haplotypes and things, it seems to come down through the female lineage, and it has to be pure female lineage, and like the royalty of Europe has some of this. So it's all over. But there's something very internally alien that's happening on this planet, not just these guys that don't look like us. I mean, I think that's true. And quite frankly, too, I think that our history is so completely jacked up. You know, I could just go down. I live in what traditionally was the second poorest county in Iowa. We have 99 counties. We were second from the bottom. And yet we have a county courthouse. You know, we only have 14,000 people in the county. We have a county courthouse that was theoretically built in 1910 in 1 year. My grandfather was a dirt poor Iowa farmer, blacksmith. This building has ancient symbolism. It has Italian marble columns. I've got pictures of this. It's a Tartarian structure with a beautiful dome and big, tall doors for big, tall people that weren't us back then. So there's so much that's going on that we just don't understand. So I'm not looking just to look outside for the aliens. I think we're going to find out that they're among us too.
They walk among us. Fascinating narrative, and I believe your analysis and views very much so. Fascinating stuff. Look, I've got two more questions I want to take through the panel. We're approaching the second hour in about 15, 20 minutes. I'll set up the next question by stating the following first. I've got to throw some stuff at the marker board to get us all in the zone, and that'll lead to the question. All right, Jerome Powell out. Kevin Warsh in. What did President Trump tell us when he published the announcement 2 months ago about Kevin Warsh? He says he's going to love this guy, he's going to get great things done, so forth and so on, because he's central casting. Yes, the president published that. Now, as one does the research on Kevin Warsh, as those that did the research on J.D. Vance, when you do the research on Kevin Warsh, you find out perhaps that he's got a few blemishes, like the original J.D. Vance had a few blemishes with ambrosia, for example. The research on Warsh, and again, President said central casting, so that's another theme throughout this broadcast. But there's information out there of his affiliations with things that. Well, for example, his father is Jewish and his father-in-law is a billionaire, Richard Lauder, who is the president of the World Jewish Congress. The associations with Epstein in some fashion or another. Now, I haven't done the direct research, but I've come across these sort of narratives that others have researched. But the reason I raised it, and people should go down the rabbit holes on their own, is because the president focused on central casting. And I'm happy to talk about J.D. Vance if this panel wants to talk about that as well. But but my question at the top of the panel with retired Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Bosi, I'm going to continue. So we're talking about Powell out, Kevin Warsh in. A few more things at the marker board. Federal Reserve and IRS clearly are being dismantled and moved into the Treasury, unconstitutional and illegal. Treasury Department published on March 26th a press release stating that President Trump will be the first sitting president with his signature on new currency. Plenty of dates have been floated by the administration from various individuals that we may be seeing the issuing of this new gold-backed dollar as early as June or July. That's narratives out there. Again, that press release was from the Treasury Department themselves, stating a new currency on the horizon. Because we know Federal Reserve note, that dollar we have, Federal Reserve note, Federal Reserve for-profit cartel, illegal, unconstitutional money scam, money is debt, and note is a debt too. So the money says Federal Reserve note, a debt to a private bank. We're getting away from that. More things on the marker board, and we'll turn it over to the panel. Let's turn it over here. I'll take a pause. to the top of the panel, what do you make of the move with Wash coming in with the comments I've provided and Powell going out? We're talking about a global financial reset, beginning perhaps as soon as July with the issuing of a new currency into the system. What's your take on that? We can be brief on this economic portion and close out with Comey, Obama, and elections. Did we lose the panel? To my producer? Oh, okay. Ricardo, if you would comment on this, and if you need clarification from me, I'm happy to provide it.
No, that's fine. Let's go very quickly. Okay, the fact that Wash is in is he's been declared a central casting. Now, the reason why this is still important is that we have these, to us, obviously flawed individuals, which is the nicest way to say it. The remnants of the secret societies, the remnants of the cabal, need to believe that they still have some level of control, and we're seeing this with Wash's appointment, for example. As you can't get deeper state than this guy, married to, as you say, Estee Lauder family. But on top of that, even in Australia with elections that are coming up, we know the elections are crooked. We know they don't represent the will of the people, but people are being elected that we know are Masonic filth. They give it away. They send the signals, but that's to placate the lower remnants of the Masonic filth to think they still have some control. So that's the reason why it's happening, just to settle those people down. So they think, hey, we're still in the game. They're not. We know they're not, but that's about it. The fact about Trump's picture and signature on the note, and it's not going to be the Federal Reserve note anymore, is a big comp saying the secretaries of Treasury, who always never worked for the president, and they have to remember that. Once again, these were feudal states arguing with each other, and Secretary of Treasury was a key job because they had the authority, the delegated authority to do with the money. And this is a message from DJT to the United States and the world. We now control it. The feudal states that used to control the different departments are all gone. We're controlling it. We're under control. We're achieving now what Abraham Lincoln tried, what JF Kennedy tried. We finally achieved it, and here's my face and signature to prove. Anyway, I'll leave it there and leave something for the rest of you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Bosi. You know, a quick comment. You can't make this stuff up, and I know the panel knows this, and probably a lot of our viewers. Kevin Wash is now the 17th Federal Reserve Chairman.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And one could argue, but it's not much of an argument there. He's basically going to be the last one as the Federal Reserve doors are about to get shut down. So we take that. That's a great subject, folks. It's a good broadcast because while, again, there are uncertainties and uncomfortableness for many of us, we can see that every subject I've raised has far more than hope in it. I mean, it's really incredible and great time. Michael, how would you like to weigh in on washout, in, Powell out? What's happening?
Yeah, this is a great time because the city of London's finally going to lose its control. The Revolutionary War was just a facade. We didn't really win it. The city of London still was in control. And a lot of those people that were there, yeah, we've seen a little here and there where it looks like we're going to break free from them, but they, gain control again. They take out our presidents like Lincoln and Kennedy. They're trying to turn it around. So this is the first time since the Revolutionary War that we're going to definitely get rid of the city of London. So they have had financial control of us for a long time. The War of 1812, they came in and hammered us because we started to do some stuff that they didn't like. They came in and burned Congress and the White House and so forth, and all the information that we had so we could break free. They knew that was coming, so they came in and burned it all down. And then we go over there and support them in World War One. They basically supported the deep state side, the South. Against us, and we won, but yet it was the Southerners that came up and killed President Lincoln. So we're going to continue to see this, taking down of the deep state. World War II, we basically went over and bailed them out of World War II. NATO, we supply NATO with all the funding. So they've used our military for a very long time. We've been their military arm, and that's getting ready to stop. It has already stopped, really. President Trump is, doing what he's doing, taking down the deep state all over the world, with the help of, our friends in all those other countries. Like our Aussie friends are, working with us, Kiwis and South Africans, all around the world. There's our counterparts have been, over the last 4 to 5 years, have been scheming and planning to take down this deep state, and they're getting taken down. So this is just one of those things. Bye-bye Federal Reserve, bye-bye IRS. That was just another way to control us and manipulate us. But all of that fraud that they've been using against us, creating slaves, all of us went to slave schools, so that we would be indoctrinated to their way of thinking and control. We're breaking free from all that. So when I say, 300 to 600 years more advanced, our educational system is going to have to, come in and get completely changed so that we can handle the new information. So all of us are going to learn new stuff. It's going to be fantastic going forward.
Excellent. Thank you. Brad, you care to weigh in on this?
Certainly. Thank you, John. And I'll preface this with, I have a compassionate family commitment that I'm a little bit behind for, so I'll have to jump here right after this. And it's been an honor, and thank you for your team. And what a pleasure to be on for the first time with Dr. Lee Merritt, Medical Rebel. Absolutely incredible. A Joan of Arc in the medical community, as far as I'm concerned, Dr. Lee. I would take this back to my technological days. And what you do is you write alpha code. The software developers write alpha code. They give it to the hardware guys and gals. They put it on the hardware. And then they go out and they test it. And then they come back and then they rewrite it again. They fix some of the bugs. And then they go out, beta test it again. And then you get somewhere close to gold code, almost release code. And then you give it to your user group, your pilot group. And they say, here, take this BlackBerry, and go and see how it works for you over in Europe. Take this BlackBerry, go down to New York City. Take this BlackBerry on the Norfolk, Virginia, out on the aircraft carrier that's being built. See how it works for you. See what schematics you can leverage and download on your email attachments. Let us know before we're ready to finally truly announce it and roll it out to the world. That is what the quantum financial system has been. And as far as I'm concerned, and everything that I've seen, I've read and researched, John, for your audience, BRICS was the alpha and beta test for the quantum financial system, ISO 20022, which went live, of course, in November 2025. So all of that has already happened. The system reset has already been done. All anybody is waiting for right now is, all right, July 4th, the new American currency with President Trump's autograph on it, and it's asset backed. Anybody just has to open the freaking Clarity Act and see it's gold. So how do you put 1 and 1 equals 2, right? Gold backed, Clarity Act, asset backed, Trump currency. I mean, I'm Canadian and I don't have an engineering degree, but I can add 1 and 1 and 1 equals 3 right there. That's a holy trinity in my book. And so all we're just doing is waiting for the paper to hit our hands, to have the tokenization. By the way, one last thing about tokenization. If anybody's worried about tokenization, CBDCs, yeah, absolutely you should be pushing back. You don't want central banks having your digital assets to turn you on and off at any point in time. But just so you know, everything that you have done since birth has been tokenized in the form of a record. And that record, unless it exists on microfiche, if it's on a laptop and ones and zeros already, your entire life has already been tokenized. This is just that next version that everybody is worried about, tokenizing this and real estate contracts and whatnot. It's already done. Real estate contract can be written by hand, and off it goes to the mortgage company, to the brokers and the banks. At least virtually all of that is no longer going to exist in this Jubilee year, and it's fantastic. I'll end with there, John Michael and Michael Jaco, incredible man, and Ricardo Bosi, Commander-in-Chief Pro Tem of Australia and New Zealand, and Dr. Lee, Medical Rebel. You all continue. I'm grateful for those two men and you, John Michael, and your team to be on my show. You have an open channel to me as well, Dr. Lee, at any point in time. But I must bid you all adieu right now. I have to get to this family commitment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brad, for being here with us. Enjoy the family commitment. And I've got to have you back on my live Wednesday Global Financial Reset show. You've unpacked a lot of great information there, and the episode you had joined us on previously was very, very, very well received. So hopefully Sandy can work scheduling out with you in the near future. God bless you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it very much.
Say hi to Juan for me as well. He missed our show Sunday, so have a little fun with him when you're hanging in Thailand. And God bless you all, everybody. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you very much. All right, so I've got two more questions to wrap up our panel, and we appreciate Brad having visited with us. And again, we miss Derek Johnson, and condolences to Derek's family, and look forward to speaking with Derek next month. Comey, the clan, the clan underneath Comey, the Brennans, the Clappers, the Strucks, the Pages, all those folks. All roads lead to Obama. President's told us that. He's told us multiple times in multiple settings, as well as the release from the DNI, that Obama and these individuals have committed treason, trying to overthrow an election and disrupt the presidency, and so forth and so on, all based on a stack of lies. And now Comey seems to be in a hot seat, paying the price. At least that's the optics playing out in the mainstream media. I have a feeling there's probably, they're talking about 20 years he may be facing. There's probably more to that story on the military tribunal side of what may really be going on with Comey. I don't know. I'm not sure this panel knows. But what are the highlights of what you think may play out prior to and just after July 4th? This can go anywhere. What, in a bullet point form, what type of events, occurrences, whether it's on the arrest, the tribunals, or anything, EBS release, what do you believe we may see? I realize it's speculation time, but your views and opinions are important to us. Ricardo Bosi, Lieutenant Colonel Bosi, what do you think might happen that's noteworthy between today and July 4th or shortly thereafter?
Thanks, John. Very quickly. There's a lot to be done. So not everything's going to be done before July 4. That's obvious. But July 4 is the critical day. DJT said it's going to be the greatest celebration of all time. And we know that President Trump understates everything that he does. So obviously it's going to be a big deal. That's a joke, by the way. But what the people, I think, need to see is something really substantive. It's not just throw them a bit of meat. No. It's going to need more than that. And for maximum effect, and we're on a short fuse here. We're in the end of May, and July 4 is getting closer and closer. Now, I know the military tribunals are very efficient and very effective, having participated in one as a witness, for example. It's not like civilian law that takes 3 years, justice delayed is justice denied. These things are short, sharp, and quick. But it's got to be legitimate. It's got to be seen to be fair, and it's got to be done. So, if I was at the table, I'd be saying, folks, we need an arrest, big arrest. There's only one big arrest that's got to come. It's got to be clear to everybody, and they can say, great, at least we've got one. We've got one or two, maybe three major ones, but it's definitely one, and it's got to be a biggie, and that's Obama, the big O, and then everybody else can follow after that. And that's what the minimum I'd be asking for before July 4.
That's music to our ears. Thank you, sir. Michael, I want to take this subject on. Any EBS, any chance? Again, I realize you didn't get the memo from the president, or maybe you did, but presuming you didn't, do you think the EBS will be launched in your speculation ball before July 4th? And anything else you'd like to raise, sir?
So I think the arrests are going to.
Said,
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Where you go, Mike?
One moment. I'll intervene. I'll intervene here. If Ricardo, you've got something else to say, please say it, and then we take that question to Michael Jaco. You're through?
No, I'm done. Over to you, Mike.
Very good. Very good. Thanks. So I think the EBS is saved for some extreme emergencies. They may or may not happen. I think the rest are going to start to come after 4th of July. Then we're going to start seeing more of the 2020 election steal stuff, the COVID damage, and it's just going to be just one thing after another. If it gets a little too hectic, if they start to try and run our cities or whatever, probably EBS will happen then, settle everybody down. It might just happen in certain areas. I think most of America's good. We're ready for this to happen. We don't need as much information dump as some people will. But yeah, I think after the July 4th is when we possibly see EBS. But leading up, I think the rest are going to start. From everyone's been telling me that has really good insight that is coming before the 4th of July. So 4th of July celebration is going to be a celebration of all these people that have done quite a lot of evil in our country or are being arrested.
Thank you. Dr. Merritt, do you want to weigh in on this?
Sure. I hope it's going to be some debt relief. And I say that because actually this kind of merges into the last question you asked, but the word jubilee has come up several times. And a jubilee in ancient times, not so ancient times, has been a universal forgiveness of debts. And one of the things, like you talked about Warsh, one of the things he said was that the Federal Reserve has amassed, I think he said, $6 trillion in expanding their balance sheet. And it benefited it was in the trillions. It was either 3 or 6 trillion, and it benefited the balance sheet, and it benefited Wall Street, but it didn't benefit the people, like the people that took loans, like for the SBA and all this stuff because of COVID. So there's a lot of that out there still. And I think that when you look at the world, God's world is really simple. It's you can understand it. It's land, growing crops, growing animals, doing things, making factories that benefit humanity. But this artificial world that we are been stuck in for thousands of years, and it's just gotten worse, it's based on managing war, it's based on poisoning people and selling it as infectious disease, and it's based on debt slavery. And the debt slavery has been from time immemorial. But it's interesting, I've just been the study I've done on symbolism, it's interesting that we have 9 states, for example, that have the Phrygian cap on their state seal, which comes from an ancient, Anatolia, 5,000 years BC, before the pharaohs. And the symbol of the Phrygian cap, which is also the cap of the French Revolution, the bloody French Revolution, it wasn't really about liberating you and freedom. It was about going from chattel slavery, where you were in chains, to debt slavery. And if you notice, the Phrygian cap is always also on the Senate seal of the United States Senate. What? With the fasces on the bottom. I mean, they're showing us what's been going on. And I think if we really are going to get out of the system, we have to get out of the debt slavery. So I'm hoping there'll be a jubilee and there'll be forgiveness of debts, because who wouldn't get behind that?
Absolutely. And I've covered that extensively on my Global Financial Reset show with a variety of guests, and they all concur with your points, ma'am. And I do believe that's coming. You've got the numbers have been quantified on the birth certificate trading. There's that chunk of, we're talking about repatriation of wealth, and of course debt forgiveness, because it was based on fraud and so forth and so on. You take that, and of course all the taxation, which was illegal and unconstitutional, the majority of it. All of these things and more, and statements from Elon Musk. I've covered this a lot. You're absolutely right, and I'm hopeful also that we get some of this at least to drip out beginning July 4th, or at least a substantial statement with some dates supporting action. So great stuff. My last question to the panel will go back to Colonel Bosi. Election. Right now, here it is, the end of May. We have one more episode in June on the Global Defense War, and then, of course, we'll have one in July. These 6 weeks are very, very important. The next critical, important date, broadly speaking, in my humble opinion, is, of course, November, when we vote at the midterms. So let's talk about, and as Ricardo mentioned, there's going to be a lot of activity going on between now and November once we get past the July 4th issues of good things. and everything starts to unpack and unload and move forward rather rapidly, in my opinion, between now and the midterms. But the elections were stolen. We all knew that. I got up on the Clay Clark General Flynn stage every month for a couple of years and spoke about that. And of course, now it's official. And so those that called everyone a conspiracy theorist, I call it Kiss a Conspiracy Theorist Month. That's what this time is. So, but we have the election theft. Wano Savin singing his jingle. It ain't over yet, 2020, right? Well, it isn't over yet. We don't have a free nation moving forward unless two things happen, in my opinion. Number one, the truth of what happened in the election. It's been going on for decades, but we'll talk about 2020. The truth of what happened in the theft of the election has to be thoroughly understood and revealed, and justice has to be served. And then corrective measures have to take place, or we should never vote again, in my opinion. That's my opinion section. Now, having said that, we go to the top of the panel, elections. Do you have any concerns, Lieutenant Colonel Bosi, about the up and coming midterm elections, given what the president has shared with us? We know about the SAVE Act, dead on arrival, perhaps at his desk. I don't know. But what's your take on this very important subject of elections? And do you think we'll be voting in the midterms? And if so, will it be free and fair? And if so, how?
Yeah, great question. We face the same problem here in Australia. We can't move ahead until the electoral roll has been sanitized, the electoral system has been cleaned up, the rules and the people applying it. So that's a $64 question. And my answer is this: is the time propitious between July 4 and November 2nd to take action on revealing all the depth of the filth in the electoral system? Absolutely, yes. That's the time to do it. Do they also have time then to rehabilitate the system, the electoral roll, and all that's involved in time for the elections on the midterm? I think not. I think this is the time is propitious to reveal the corruption and then take the time to reestablish the system and reestablish faith. I don't think it can be done by 2 November. What that means is I don't think there'll be an election on 2 November. I think, although we know we're already in a state of martial law, it'll become more obvious because what gets done in the next few years is critical. Now, can this martial law situation continue behind the scenes like it is currently doing both in the US and Australia? We're under US martial law now. We know it. You can't say it. Shh, don't say anything. Is it better to do it behind the scenes? Is it better to do it publicly? As Mike Flynn always says in the military, and Michael Jaco knows this, you only make the call at the last possible moment. Always leave yourself options. Always leave yourself options, because the bad guy always has a say. And so you've got what, again, Michael knows this: actions on. If it turns to custard, we do this. If it turns to we do that. And you've got these fallback of strategies you go to that all the team knows about, so they don't wonder what happens next. So I think they're going to leave it to the last safe possible moment. So they're not. I'd guess that the decision is not definitive. It might be a preferred course of action not to have the elections, but they might go ahead and they might decide, because circumstance decided to do it. For my money, again, this is just me. I'm like a bull at a gate. My mother used to say that about me. Son, I love you, but you never look left and right. You just charge forward. When you get a sniff of blood, you're in. So that's just my natural predisposition. But for me, it'd be a great time to show the utter corruption of the system. And as I've said many times before, the whole system's got to come down. The Republicans have to be destroyed. The Democrats are destroyed already. But the whole system now has to collapse. Even MAGA and America First have to realize that they've got to recalibrate themselves as well, because everything's got to come down. And the best time to do that is in the open, and then just say, hey, the commander-in-chief was established before the president was established. He has precedent, he's in charge, and we're going to go through a period of cleansing and rebuilding. And then when the time is right, we then revert it to the people. Is that ideal? I don't know. It's an option, but I guess the novelty is worn off. Let's get to the end of this show. Let's be upfront with the people. Let's let them know what's got to be done, so we can then focus our efforts on rebuilding, rehabilitating the entire system. That's why I've been as blunt as a hammer with the Australian people, with my opinions on this. because we're pretty robust. We'll take the truth and go, okay, martial law, let's get on with it. What are we going to do? Let's get to it. But for my money, if I had to put a bet down, I'll finish with this. My bet is there won't be a midterm. I could be wrong, but there won't be a midterm, and there'll be a good reason for it.
Wow. Well, that's on the record, and we'll see how that plays out. And that's quite a possibility. And the narrative that would shape that type of an event will be fascinating, and we'll be covering it as pardon me, as the months get closer to that. I'll also interject. The president has, if the SAVE Act doesn't get done, he's pretty much said, and I'm paraphrasing, get it done. And if it isn't done, I'm going to declare a national emergency, declaration, national emergency, I think is the terminology. And come hell or high water, we're going to have free and fair elections. I will interject, you could see ICE or National Guard and other people there supervising and monitoring that only people with proper ID and all the other criteria that one should vote with takes place. So we do have a free and fair election. But if we're not ready for that, if the president doesn't invoke that, let's not have an election until we get it right. And Juan O'Savin's on the record. I'm paraphrasing. Juan is saying two things that maybe President Trump's, pardon me, legacy, as you fast forward some years down the line, that's another discussion, but that would be restoring free and fair elections and restoring sound money, both of those things first here at home in America, and then exporting that to the countries around the world. And I believe Juan is right about that. But thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Bosi, for weighing in. Michael, what's your views about this? It's a pretty important subject.
Yeah, so Ricardo was right that, if we tell them too much of what we're going to do, they're going to undermine it. They've shown us that over and over again. So passing the Save America Act too early in the game, if it's going to be passed, is probably the better way. I think they're waiting further down the road so that when they pass it, they know that they're going to start to have ways to overcome that. You look at Colorado, the governor there just blew off President Trump when he said free Tina Peters. That's never been done before. All the states that President Trump did not win in, and there were states where they didn't have voter ID. Every state that there was voter ID, he won. So they don't care. They're going to do what they're going to do. He could pass all kinds of laws. He can tell them you're not going to have mail-in ballots, and he's already said that executive order. They're going to do it. They're going to do it anyway. And they're like, what are you going to do? So you're going to start a civil war. You're going to send out the military. Do you think you have enough military? There's not enough military to go around. To tell you the truth. So I don't see that happening. But I do believe that Ricardo has a good point. If it's not settled from the point where we're supposed to have these elections, then we're not going to have them. They're going to get pushed. So that's real. That's a possibility. But I have faith that they're going to get this out, the SAVE Act. If not, then some kind of executive order. And if that doesn't work, then we're not going to have those elections. It's pure and simple. And I think that there's a good possibility that if we do have those elections, we'll have a massive red tsunami. We've been talking about that. A lot of people have been talking about that for I think since President Trump, first came down the escalator, everybody's like, we're going to have a red wave and we're going to have a red wave. And I'm like, no, we're not, because we don't have, free and fair elections. They're compromised. And even when he got into office, he started talking about that right from the beginning, but the press, kept it down, kept a lot of pressure on that. But I was constantly revealing that if we don't get hold of these elections, we're not going to see the right people get in office. And that, of course, that's what we've seen all the way up to now. We've seen onesies and twosies here. We've seen just recently, President Trump is pushing back on the rhinos. I don't think that really anybody in political office right now, other than President Trump, of course, maybe one or two here and there. I kind of like, I think it's Tim Burchett just came out with I think he's coming out with a bill where they're going to bring back hangings So I think we're getting close to that point because President Trump in his last administration came out with shootings. We could do the firing squads again. So it's all kind of like the little pieces of the puzzle are coming together, where some of these people, if we do have 2020 election still stuff be exposed, I think there's no way they can resist us anymore after that. So then the SAVE Act goes through. We'll have if you do have mail-in ballots, you're not gonna be included. California, whatever city you have that has mail-in ballots, that city's ballots are out. So I think that's one of the ways to handle it. But it remains to be seen how that happens. But I have a lot of faith that we're gonna get a good election coming up, whether it gets delayed or whether it happens on the right date, November 2nd, remains to be seen. But we're gonna get a good, really, really good election, probably the first election, seriously good election that we've had probably ever in the United States. So it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, that's encouraging. And however it plays out, we will have free and fair elections, and that's the message here. Dr. Merritt, you're weighing in on this subject.
Well, at the risk of never being invited back because this is too weird, but I'm just going to throw this out there. The editor, I think he's dead now, but the former editor of Burke's Peerage made this comment several years ago, and he said that every president of the United States, from George Washington through George Bush Jr., and I think we could probably extend that through Obama now, was a Merovingian, meaning they all came from a direct descendant of Clovis and Charlemagne. So if that being true, that's not me saying it. This is the guy that writes the peerage book that tells where everybody in the peerage of the nobility in Europe comes from. And that being the case, even if it's not just about the voting machines, and it's not just about whether we have write-in ballots, it's that it's a top-down system, not a bottom-up system. We like to think in America we have this great grassroots thing because, I'm from Iowa. We joke that when there's the presidential caucus out here, you can't walk out your front door without tripping over a presidential candidate, but they're all selected for us. They're not from our counties. So one of the other possibilities I would like to see, I don't know if it then has any chance, but there's behind the scenes. I just was at the opening of Birthright, this new movie, and behind the scenes there is a republic that's being repopulated. We did it in my county. We set up a jural committee. We elected people, and we are the de jure government. The corporate government still sits, but there's a skeleton organization. And one of the other possibilities would be to say, we can't have election because we don't want any more top-down people handed to us. We're going to really do it from the bottom up. You all go back to your counties, and you take back your county for the republic. And let's have a real republic, not a selection. We'll have an election. That's a possibility. Maybe it's just dreaming, but I think that might be true. Or we won't go back. We'll have something completely different. The world is going to be so different that this will be null and void. So I don't know.
I like that last notion. I really feel that the two-party system, at least in our country, is not going to be around. Certainly the Democrat Party. The entire we will be a constitutional republic, but how we get there, maintain that, those protocols, I believe, may be wiped off. And that would be wonderful. I'm curious to see how that may play out. We'll all find out, but you raised some great points, and you're certainly invited back on. Thank you. And, what you summarized there in your county discussion speaks right to General Flynn. Local action, national impact, all good. This concludes our broadcast, but I'm incorporated something last Global Defense War panel, and I'm going to do it this panel as well. I'm going to call them closing drive-by questions. While each, 60 seconds each, and we're done. While these three subjects could certainly warrant much more time, we're out of time. But the audience waits 30 days for this panel to hear from you in this setting. So let's touch on this. Quick answers, quick viewpoints, maybe 60 seconds. DC shooter, retired Colonel Ricardo Bosi, DC shooter. What's your comment on that recent events with the high-powered weapon going off?
Distraction. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
More central casting.
Got it. And Dr. Lee Merritt.
Yeah, I would have at one time maybe said MK Ultra or mind control, but I think it's more central casting too.
All right. Well, there you have it. Next drive-by question. Quick update on Iran. We know a lot of that is showmanship at this point, I would suggest. Not that it's not real, but anyway, Ricardo Bosi, sir, update on Iran, current status, how's it end?
It doesn't really matter. Iran and most of the overt military activities are a cover for what's really going on. Really quickly, what's going on behind the scenes? We're talking about Iran. Great. Who cares? Nobody. Mm-hmm. What's really going on? DJT is traveling the globe, getting bilateral agreement on rare earth minerals with every country on the planet. So he's weaving together this coalition, which is designed to prevent war. This provides, every country will be relying on its natural resources to provide wealth for its people. He said it with their money. If you've got diamonds, you have diamond-backed dollars. If you've got tin, make tin-backed, makes no difference. But this is this is what Mike Flynn talks about, the Sun Tzu art of war. It's winning without fighting. What Trump is doing, he is winning the next war by not fighting it. So all the overt military activity has to be done because that's the visuals for the people, no problem. But underneath it, DJT is winning the next war by not fighting it, by establishing these economic ties with the US directly, bilaterally. Rare earth metals, get rich, make sure those natural resources benefit the people. MTUSL, which is PNG pigeon for that's it. So what's going on in, I know you wanted to hear about Iran. Iran's just the cover story, like everything else is a cover story. And Trump is applying Sun Tzu in ways that even Sun Tzu didn't imagine. Because Sun Tzu was fighting, he came out of that period, terrible 300 years of war in China. The spring autumn period, which then led into the warring states period. They couldn't afford to go killing people in massed armies because it was a 300-year war. So that's what DJT is doing. So it's not what you wanted, but that's what you're getting.
You know, we are grateful for the brilliant mind and brilliant analysis from retired Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Bosi. Thank you very much, sir. Michael Jaco, please weigh in on Iran, if you will.
So 30 years in the SEAL Team 6, in the CIA, all the stuff that I was fighting, losing friends and seeing people being killed, quite often right in front of me. That's from Iran. So that government will go away. How it goes away remains to be seen. I said it would be boots on the ground, but I haven't seen them yet because Donald Trump is very crafty. I've been proven wrong quite a few times. His first administration, I thought we were going to bomb the hell out of Iran when they took down one of our drones. And I was like, it's coming. And it didn't. So you never know with Donald Trump and his team. They're very crafty. They're able to, keep us out of war to an extent that I've never seen before. So somehow, some way, that administration, the extremists that are running the people of Iran and the whole Middle East, really, they'll have to go. There's no way they're going to survive.
Thank you. And we've covered many aspects of Iran in previous episodes, folks. If you want to go visit those as well, in terms of the benefits we've gotten from that with exposing London and the oil redirection and so forth. But thank you, Michael. Excuse me, folks. Dr. Lee, would you take this on, please? Your views.
Yeah. So you've apparently, the one thing I didn't know about this whole deal, and I just have to say this because Michael Jaco's here. When the Shah fell, I was actually in third class Navy diving school at Groton, Connecticut. So, you know, yeah, I know that's low level for you guys, but anyway, quite the deal. But anyway, we were training submariners. We were training Iranian submariners, and what I didn't realize at the time, and I didn't realize until recently, just listening to the people talk about this, is how much that the Crown Corporation could leverage the whole world, at least those that didn't have their own oil, by the Straits of Hormuz through Lloyd's of London. That completely just went. I'd never heard that, and again, I've been there since the beginning of this whole thing falling apart, and I think that's really interesting. So I'm really hopeful. I think that the strength through economics is the way the world always should have been, and we're going to see a whole new structure based on that, not on this one. I always wondered why this little island, of people, not that I'm against the British, but why this little island of people had kept having so much power over the whole world. And now we kind of know.
Yes, and it's often been said this little island, and Ricardo has certainly commented on this, they produce nothing, no value to society, just complete tyrannical control for centuries, including control of the U.S., which has now been taken back. Thank you, President Trump, the military, and the White Hats for that. Final drive-by question, Cuba. Ultimate outcome for Cuba, Ricardo Bosi.
They're going to do a Venezuela on Cuba? No, they're going to do a Venezuela on Cuba. Same thing. They're not into regime change. They're into the appearance of the change of leadership. Again, destroying the nation doesn't help anybody. It helped the CIA, it helped the deep state. DJT is not interested in that. The people will be guided, I guess is the nicest way to say it, to straighten up their country and get on with the job. Because look, once they fix the health and the wealth of the people, you watch all the misery and it'll just disappear, and humans will be allowed to become what we were created to be, which is not some cancer on the planet, just a wonderful species that has the great capacity for joy and happiness and wisdom and generosity.
Thank you, sir. Our Cuban friends, certainly in Cuba and Miami and all around the world, must be, I think President will get the Cuban vote for quite some time, having indicted Castro. It's a wonderful time to be alive. Michael, comments on Cuba's ultimate outcome?
Yeah, again, another Venezuela. I agree. Very strategic, surgical, removal of somebody that's in power, and then everything else collapses from that point. So it's going to be great. I look forward to visiting Cuba in the future.
Yes, me too. Thank you, Michael. And we'll close out the last drive-by question with Dr. Lee Merritt. Cuba, ultimate place in the sun for Cuba. What's it look like to you?
Well, under the category of why you'd rather be run by the mob than by federal governments, I say give it back to the people and have them rebuild the casinos. Let's have it be the best island paradise in my lifetime. I want to go and lay out on the beach and have a margarita or whatever, a Cuba Libre, and really enjoy this beautiful place, and not have it be a cesspool thanks to government. There's a little libertarian sneaking out there.
All good. Love it. Thank you. We can join, we step back several decades. We can join Ernest Hemingway and one of his wives, Gellhorn, on the beautiful island of Cuba, as they used to frequent back in the day off of Sloppy Joe's in Key West. Anyway, it's been a wonderful episode. A lot of disruptive, uncomfortable truths and new things being presented to we the people of America and the world through the times we're living in, through our great Commander-in-Chief and President Donald J. Trump, the military and the White Hats. But one of the messages through every subject we've visited here, and while the questions are scripted, the answers in the dialogue is not. And the common theme that's been in this show is things are okay, folks, and we've got this, and the victory is ours. So those of faith remain prayerful, plan and prepare. A few bumps ahead, but we got this, folks, and I want to salute this panel and Brad Wozny, who had joined us. Thank you very, very much for your expertise in your time. And we'll be back next month on the Global Defense War panel. Thank you all very much, and I'll be right back after this message.
His commentary and analysis is among the best, bar none. His words serve as a master class. He deconstructs the deceptions of the PSYOP war. He is the author of The Greatness Awaits You, the national leader of Australia One Party Incorporated, a monthly panel participant in JMC's global defense war. In a league of his own, an international treasure, a follower of Jesus Christ. He is Ricardo Bosi. Ricardo Bosi is a published author and speaker, international business consultant, former Australian Army Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel, having served 24 years in the Australian Army, including postings to the Special Air Service Regiment, the 1st Commando Regiment, Headquarters Special Operations, and the U.S. Combined Joint Task Force Headquarters in Kuwait. Don't miss JMC Broadcasting's Bosi Briefs, where John sits down with Ricardo, helping to connect the dots, making sense of the madness, keeping us all grounded and united as the battle between good and evil play out before our very eyes. Join John and Ricardo every other Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at jmcbroadcasting.com.
Quick announcement, Global Financial Reset live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern across the platforms. This week coming, we have Tom Lennox, retired Lieutenant Colonel Tom Lennox returning, and Larry Ballard. You do not want to miss that. And please visit jmcbroadcasting.com. Click on contributors on the upper left-hand corner. You will see the panel guests and the other contributors to my network, their photograph, their biography, and a link to follow their work. I want to thank the panel once again. Couple of other announcements. Off-world with JMC. Actually, okay, we'll do this one. All new Patriot Q&A Power Hour. Join me and Juan O'Savin live in a private Zoom room on the screen, Juan, for 1 hour to answer your questions. Mark your calendars, May 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern, coming up very soon. So come join us. Visit jmcbroadcasting.com. Click on Premium Portal. Learn about the option and see if it's a fit for you. If so, we look forward to seeing you there. We also have Off-World, if we have that image, Off-World with JMC. I'm launching a monthly panel, Off-World with JMC. There it is, each and every month, beginning in June. A lot of new faces to JMC Broadcasting will be featured there, and some familiar faces. We will be covering and following the president's releases of information of once top secret security files off planet with JMC monthly beginning in June. Also, taking on healthcare, as I mentioned earlier, Christy Lee, The Truth About Healthcare, weekly broadcast and monthly panels following June thereafter. So that's what's happening here. I'll just wrap this up. I want to thank our esteemed guests for their time and expertise in today's panel, addressing issues that concern each and every one of us. I do my best to bring some of the top of the mind issues that are on your mind to these panels to get clarity for us all. I hope we've done a good job for you. That's pretty much a wrap. Join us. I'll be meeting with Juan O'Savin in Thailand in the next 10 days. I very much look forward to the sit down with Juan, and what we'll glean from that I will be sharing with you. We may even hop on a Zoom special broadcast if time allows for Juan. That's basically it. Be sure to watch my daily, 7 days a week, I publish JMC's War Report, 3 to 5 minutes, short and sweet, inspirational and informative. Be sure to watch them every day, Monday through, every day, 7 days a week. Anyway, let me wrap up here and get myself some breakfast here in beautiful Thailand. Thanks for following and sharing our work. We're growing. Our voice is becoming bigger and bigger thanks to you. Where we go one, we go all. Be safe, stay alert, and may God be with you.